The Somewhere in the Skies podcast is free to listen to every week, but if you would like to help support the show, we have a very active Patreon page where you give what you think the show is worth. In return, you'll get early access to the main show, bonus episodes, and priority to ask our guests your listener questions. Your support truly makes the show continue and grow. So, to learn more and to join, visit patreon.com/somewhereskies. What's up, guys? Can't get enough of that music. Welcome to a very special Halloween-themed live stream of Somewhere in the Skies today. Good morning to all of you on the East Coast, on the West Coast. I know it's early for you West Coasters, and it is late morning on the East Coast. So I hope you enjoy this horror movie review with your morning coffee. It is almost 4 p.m. here in the UK, so we're moving on from coffee. I got a little bit of a little fun inebriation planned for tonight. I'm going to need it. But that has nothing to do with our guests. It has everything to do with the movie we will be discussing. And as you saw in the intro, it is Halloween Ends, the highly divisive movie that just came out to end the most recent trilogy of the Halloween franchise. So to discuss this movie today with us we have Dennis Cahlo, we have Bethany Watson, and we have Nick Westemeyer. Guys, welcome to Somewhere in the Skies.
Hi! Hello, hello.
Oh my gosh, that was the most excited intro I've ever had from a guest. So thank you guys. Thank you for joining me. I know it's early.
We're highly caffeinated and psyched to be here. Cheers.
Ryan,
Cheers, guys.
to be a person who listens to your voice on a weekly basis and then see you talking live is like, and actually being here is such an honor.
Yeah.
Because, I've been such a huge fan of yours for so long. And then after we connected, I was like, oh my God, we're friends now.
Best friends.
But every time I listen to the podcast, I'm like, God, he's so good. And I'm like, wait, I know him. I text him sometimes.
I know.
That's
even during the intro, Dennis just tapped me and he went, he's so good.
Nick,
over Ryan. It's just
Nick, what good things do you have to say about me, Nick? No, I'm just kidding. Nick and I go way back. That's true.
The crux of Ryan and I's friendship is this. Ryan's like, Nick, I know I haven't talked to you in a while, but I'm moving apartments. Can you come right now? Like, yeah, sure.
Yes.
Are you gonna buy me Buffalo Wild Wings? Yes.
Yes.
I'll be there immediately.
Yes.
And then he doesn't hear from me for another. Where were you when I moved to Scotland? Come on.
And I would have come for that. That's a free. Give me
Nick, you should have.
some
Yeah, Nick, you really should have. If you were a decent friend, even a decent friend, you would have gotten on that plane.
I'm a failure. I'm a failure as a
You're
friend.
a failure as a friend.
I'm a failure.
God. Well, guys, we could preamble forever, but the reason we're here today is to discuss Halloween Ends. I do want to say hello to everyone in the chat. Is the video over? No, Westworld, it's just beginning, my friends. So welcome.
This party is
Hillary is here.
Started.
It's just getting started. Hi, guys. Welcome. So yeah, we're going to be discussing Halloween Ends. For those of you who have not seen it yet, this will be a very spoiler-heavy review episode. So warning you right now. And hey, if you're watching it live, you haven't seen the movie, I don't know why I'm saying this, but stop watching us. Go watch the movie.
It's on Peacock or the movie theater.
What poor marketing on my part. Stop watching us right now.
You know, Ryan, since I started doing my YouTube videos, like I can see where I say like, so here's where I get into spoilers. That's immediately where people stop watching.
So we got them.
Yeah, and then they come back like a week later. They're like, I finally watched the movie, and now I can finish this fucking review.
We made it 5 minutes.
Can we curse on here? Is it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I just want to talk about the difference of backdrops. It's like mega backdrop with me and Dennis. Ryan, who's got like a backdrop, me, he's like, I'm in my kitchen.
Yeah. Right. It goes from, you can see the evolution from Nick's kitchen to my measly attempt at Halloween to like full-on professional horror film director and film actor.
It's like the level of professionalism. It's like, here's Nick, and there's Bethany and Dennis are like, it's on.
You know,
yeah, we're talking dollar store back here.
We got these for free at Kohl's.
Cash.
Yeah, Kohl's. We use Kohl's Cash to get all this stuff. Yeah.
That's the most suburban thing you've said yet. Welcome.
I know. We're now suburbanites.
If you return some Amazon packages to Kohl's, you get $5 Kohl's Cash. You spend it on Halloween.
There you go.
There is your tip of the day, guys.
There you go.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
Yep.
Anything to shove it to Amazon.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And we're also wearing our Art Bell headsets in honor of, you know, the not just
genre.
spooky season, but this is the, you know, we're talking to an alien expert, you know, so it's like we had to sort of pay homage to Art Bell as well. And we're
the founder of the feast.
The founder of the feast.
I love it. I love it. Well, for any of our watchers, our eventual listeners, this will be a podcast as well after the live stream. Let's introduce you guys to the audience. We saw some brief intros there. Nick, I hope you enjoyed that little Frat House Massacre cameo I found. Tell us who you guys are. Nick, let's start with you, buddy. Who are you? What do you do? Why are you here today?
Okay. I'm Nicholas Westemeyer. I am a college professor, an actor, and a director in New York, based out of New York. That's what I do. I'm here because I love all of these beautiful people in this room, and I love talking horror movies. It's literally I look forward to it every year. I make Ryan do these so I can come talk about movies.
He does, usually by gunpoint, but he didn't have that.
Yeah, but he moved to Scotland, so I had to figure out new ways to do it.
Yeah. Bribery is a funny, fickle thing. Dennis, Bethany, introduce yourselves to our audience if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'm Bethany Watson. I'm a former radio host. I am an actress and a podcaster now. I do 2 podcasts. One is called An Acquired Taste, and one is called The Check-In, which is a bonus of An Acquired Taste. I do The Check-In with Dennis. And yeah, Dennis and I stream on Twitch, and
we make horror movies.
So this is definitely a genre near and dear to my heart, for sure.
And my name is Dennis Cahlo. I am a photographer and a filmmaker, primarily horror. What else? Oh, I make YouTube videos. Please go subscribe if you can. YouTube.com/dcallo. I'm trying to get monetized, damn it. I need to get 1,000 followers beforehand. But anyway, I do deep dive.
Are so good there, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, please
subscribe.
Yay, thank you, Nick.
Thank you so much. I do deep dive documentaries. They're about 18 minutes long. The first one that just came out is about Halloween 3, ironically, Season of the Witch, which ties into this conversation right now, but that's me, that's what I do. And Ryan and I are working on something where I'm developing 2 features right now, one with Ryan and Nick and one with Bethany and our friend Will. And so that's what's going on.
Exciting. Stay tuned, guys. Yes. It was it's crazy how small this world is. I remember, Dennis, you reaching out to me and saying you listened to the podcast. And, whenever someone reaches out, I try to do my homework, be like, all right, who is this person? Are they going to, show up at my doorstep and say that they were abducted by aliens?
Yeah.
Not to make light of that, guys. I am a UFO person through and through.
It does
but
happen.
You do have to be careful. Yeah. So I looked into you and I'm like, oh, whoa, this dude makes horror films. And of course, being the scrappy young artist, I can't even use that word anymore. The scrappy artist I am. I'm like, I have a horror script.
I can use this person.
And
I sent it off to you, and we've been friends and future colleagues ever since.
Yep, I
It's
remember
been an
reading
interesting
that.
journey.
Yeah, I read that, and I read it to Bethany. I said, "This guy could write."
Oh,
man.
it's so
I was like,
good.
"Holy shit, he's a really good writer." So we're developing it. Everything is in development.
Yep.
But when it actually happens, it's going to be real good. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm really excited
Gonna
about
be
what the
real
future
good.
holds. You know.
Yep. And Nick is involved in it too as well. Nick and I have made a movie in the past, so I'm really excited to continue working with him as well. Looks like he might be frozen here. What
But
a
with such a
great
cool,
screenshot,
look at
Nick.
the look on his face.
It's
That
that
brooding.
80s glitch. I love it.
That literally could
Nick-
be a horror movie right there. Yeah. Nick is
Try to
disappeared.
hop out and hop in, Nick, if you can, buddy.
And
we
like
got
the
you
dark,
frozen on the
brooding
thing.
look he has actually brings us really nicely into Halloween Ends, because I do love a brooding male
Mhm.
trope.
Mhm.
Like I love
Yep.
like a Heathcliff, like a dark boy who needs to be saved. It's one of my favorite things.
That's why you fell for me.
and that's why I fell for you.
Yeah.
And Halloween Ends has that in spades.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, okay. Well, let's just do it. Let's do
Okay.
it. I'm sure Nick will be back. I
Poor
could just
Nick.
leave him frozen on the screen. I know. Poor buddy. Nick, if you're listening to this, try hopping out and hopping back in, buddy. Hopefully we'll get you back very soon. But let's do it, guys. Let's hop into Halloween Ends. I'm gonna go through some of the technical stuff here.
Sure.
We have Halloween Ends, directed by David Gordon Green, written by David Gordon Green, Danny McBride, Paul Brad Logan, and Chris Bernier, which 4 writers on this movie.
Mhm.
So many
get there.
cooks in that kitchen.
Yep.
My
And-
God, man.
Dennis, we'll talk about that, man, because it should not take 4 people to write a horror movie. In my
And not
personal
this
opinion.
one, because this
No.
was a real, like, simple, yeah.
You have a lot of thoughts about this movie.
I know. We're getting there, Bethany. This is the finale, apparently, of David Gordon Green's sequel trilogy, which started with Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and this is Halloween Ends. Notable returning cast members for this film are Jamie Lee Curtis, of course,
My
as
queen.
Laurie Strode. Queen.
Queen.
Love
Slay.
her.
Andy,
Love her.
Andy Matichek, I hope I'm saying this right. Matichek as Allison, which is Laurie's granddaughter.
Mhm.
Will Patton as Deputy Frank Hawkins, probably one of my favorite characters.
Mhm.
James Jude Courtney as the Shape, and introducing Rowan Campbell as Corey Cunningham, which is going to be the
Corey.
bulk of what we're talking about tonight.
Corey.
Ooh, so those are the. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Cinematography, Michael Simmons, which is another big part of this movie.
Yep.
We'll
Yeah.
discuss, and of
Yeah.
course, music and score by John and Cody Carpenter. The music.
The music is
music.
fantastic.
So good.
If you put John and his son, in charge of the music of this franchise,
Mhm.
you're set. You know what I mean? He's
Right.
done all this. He's done the scores for pretty much up to, I think, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. I don't know how much he had to do. I dropped off after Season of the Witch. So I mean I've watched 4 through all of them, but like I don't really, they're in and out.
Mhm.
The
Right.
introduction of Halloween 4 is fantastic. If you want to get in the spooky season mood, that's just like one of the best intros. It feels like you're in October. But if you just put him in charge of scoring anything that's horror, it's great. His album that he did, I can't recommend it enough. Like he's got an album out of just spooky synth music, and it's great. Absolutely great.
Have you seen the YouTube videos of him doing like live concerts of it?
No.
Where he's
No.
literally, it's so like what would you call it? Like EDM? Like it's just a bare stage with John Carpenter, all these strobes going, and then just this old man John Carpenter sitting there like, and every now and again like kind of bobbing his
Just
head.
bobbing his head back.
But the
and
whole crowd is going nuts because it's John Carpenter live doing his music.
Mhm.
Oh,
That's
God,
so
God bless
cool.
this
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I know.
It's
I know.
interesting because I'm getting ready for my December episode of on my YouTube channel, which is going to be The Thing, because it is because it's cold weather horror,
Yeah.
right? So like I was like, The Thing is my favorite cold weather horror film, and I listened to an interview with him about it. Excellent interview. And I felt such a connection with him because he's a musician who's also a director, and I'm a musician as well. And I do some scoring for my own films once in a while. But he also said something interesting, and I think you as a writer would love this. He was, the interviewer was like, "Hey, so do you like writing, your movies?" He goes, "Oh God, no, I hate it. If I could have a writer every time, I'd love writing. Is terrible. You're just in a room by yourself. It's the worst." And I was like, God, I love this man. He's just like
so grumpy.
He's such a awesome, grumpy man who like just knows what he wants to do. And it's just, he's such a straightforward guy, such a straight shooter. Like, I just love that man. I love that man.
Well,
so much. Sorry, I went off on
a
tangent, but
no, not at all, man. I mean, it's always worth talking about John Carpenter because I mean, he is the reason we're here today.
Yeah.
One of the funny things I have found is his disdain for Halloween 2, and we'll get to Halloween Ends, guys. It's been a long journey to that point, but just how we shouldn't technically have any of these movies.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be talking about this one tonight. We shouldn't be talking about Curse of Michael Myers. We shouldn't even be talking about Halloween 2. John Carpenter wanted this to be a one-off.
Yep.
And obviously, the studio was like, we made the biggest boatload of money ever for a slasher horror movie. We're making a damn sequel.
Yeah.
And, again, gun to his head, you're writing it. And he didn't want to do it. So, I mean, he's even gone on record saying he was absolutely wasted drunk writing Halloween 2, being like, the fuck am I doing? Like, I don't know. Here, he somehow survived. I don't know how. We're not going to explain it.
And
but
it's
he's
so
back.
It's so funny that this is the series where it's now just a joke that Michael Myers always comes back somehow, and and that this is the one character that John Carpenter was like, he's dead now, right? We killed him. No, he's definitely dead. The script says he's for sure dead. This time though, he's dead. And it's like, no, he's back. Like, it's the Martha Stewart effect where like the more you want something to be different, the more people focus on the way they want it. This is very funny to me.
I love that.
Yeah. And I also like, I'm not a huge Halloween 2 fan. I think it's cool, like the one location, but it also felt like a lot of like, hey, let's put tits in this, like, because like the first one didn't have any like sex. It was like, well, it did have sex, but it wasn't exploitative. Exploitative. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
It wasn't yet the whole like have sex, you will die.
Right.
What would you call it? Trope.
Yeah.
The
trope.
It would kind of spawn.
Yeah. And it was more. Halloween, the first one, and this is I say this repeatedly, and I know eventually when when I have enough stuff out there on YouTube, everyone's gonna call me out for using atmosphere too much, because that's my number one rule of a horror film. You have to have the atmosphere. If you build atmosphere, you can't go wrong. You just can't go wrong. And that first film has it. You barely see. So people get mad that you didn't see a lot of Michael Myers in this film, right? In Halloween Ends, you don't see him a lot in the first one either. If you remember, it's a lot of him. He's at the end. There's a lot of Michael Myers. At the beginning, it's him behind stuff. It's him in trees. It's him stalking. It's your point of view most of the time. It's not a lot of him, and that's what made it work. Is because they had a low budget. They had to save all the big stuff for the end, and it was a slow build to this ending that was amazing. And then we finally get him at the end. We earned Michael Myers, right? We earned him at the end, which is why I think they went completely wrong with this series, with this new David Gordon Green series. And look, I'm not an expert. I haven't even made a feature film yet. It is a nightmare to make a film of any level. It's insane. However, my hot take is, had Halloween Ends been the first film in the series, this would have worked.
Yes,
because then we would have had his whole arc. Michael Myers could have come back slowly, and we would have earned him at the end, and we would have had this new guy to focus on, which was, the new shape of evil and his arc. And I think if they had spread it out that way, I think they just went ass backwards. You know, I feel like they opened up with this spectacle of 2018, which was, I hated it. I hated Halloween 2018. I hated Halloween Ends. I mean, Halloween Kills.
Yeah,
hated them. I actually liked Halloween Ends.
That blows my mind.
Loved it. I was like, I like this one.
Blows my mind.
All right. Well, you mentioned backside, Dennis. I gotta ask, brother. Show us the back of that jacket, please.
Oh my God, yes. Okay.
Show us your body, Dennis.
Speaking of backside, Dennis.
Show us your body. Look at that. Look at that.
Amazing.
Aw.
Hold on. There we go.
Yeah, look how pretty that is.
Gorgeous. I love it. I'm trying over here. I've got like the
Look at
standard,
you.
the standard shirt.
And I'm just wearing black because it's my summer color.
I love
Nick!
it. I love it.
Nick is
Hey!
totally bagged.
I
was gonna wear my produced by Deborah Hill. Oh, sorry.
Oh no!
What's up, Nick?
All my computers failed, so now I'm on my phone.
Oh.
Hey, it looks great, my man. Welcome. We're happy to have you back.
Great.
I knew you would make it work somehow. Well, Nick, so we've discussed kind of the beginnings of Halloween, you know, the first movie, how it'll eventually tie into this one, and kind of we talked about John Carpenter for a little bit, just catching up the audience and you to what has been discussed so far. I've got so many notes, guys. It's insane.
I can't wait.
I
love a deep dive.
Well, we'll see how deep it gets, Dennis, because like I kind of gave up on the notes after the third time watching this. But let's talk about go ahead, Nick.
Oh, I was just saying, how many times have you viewed this cinematic work of art? I liked it. Just
4. Oh yeah, I remember the
with
first
you, Nick.
night watching it. I texted you guys. I'm like, I am loving this. And then I watched it again, and I said I hated this. And then I watched it again, and I liked it. That's how a movie should be, in my opinion. But
I think
I'm
the solo camp. I think where I did not like this movie. I think all three of you.
Bethany, did you like any of the new Halloween movies?
No. So the first 2.
Let's start there. Yeah, 2018. The
Yeah.
first of this trilogy. When I heard Danny McBride was involved, I'm like, what the hell?
What?
Like the dude from like Gemstones and Eastbound. What is going on here?
So
and then the movie came out.
Yeah, and that the reason for that is relationships, right? They're everything. Gordon Green and he go all the way back to Gordon Green's first film. So like they're friends.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you guys think? Let's get your impressions of 2018, the first in the trilogy.
I mean, I thought the issue that I had with the first 2 had nothing to do with anyone acting. I think the acting in these movies is wonderful. I think Jamie Lee Curtis walks on water. So I want to get that out of the way. And also I'm not an expert on this. So this is my opinion, whatever. I felt like there were some major tone issues where the first 2, the 2018 and 2020, felt so self-serious, and the 2018 felt incredibly self-serious. Like there was like some world-changing cinema happening right now, and the writing didn't live up to that. And then 2020 was such a strange movie because it felt like the writers or the director or someone had all of these friends who wanted to be in the movie. And so there were all of these just like strange, tiny vignettes of scenes with like, the couple having, putting on a record and wanting to smoke pot together, and then they get killed. And then the couple who's just like old together and they're cute and old, and then they get killed. And like none of those characters play into anything else in the movie. It felt like stunt casting with non-stunty actors. But again, it had like this self-seriousness where evil dies tonight. Everyone suddenly knows the phrase evil dies tonight, even though no one said it to each other.
If I heard that one more time, I was like, I'm gonna throw my
and then
TV
they all just like just this bizarre scene of them murdering a different patient in the hospital in a really like just disgusting way. It all felt so serious and unrealistic. And I watched both of those twice, and I was just like, why isn't this fun? Like the original Halloween was fun because it was a horror movie, and it was like discovering this character and discovering the relationships. And the first 2 new Halloweens just like lost that sense of playfulness to me in a way that just sort of bummed me out. And I feel like Halloween Ends was significantly better, like so much better, the best of the 3, but still had such a self-serious quality to me that I just was like, oh man, this I don't know, man. I was bummed.
That's fair.
Yeah. I was really let down by 2018. In fact, I wasn't even going to see it. Like I was like, I'm not going to watch these because I just want to keep it at Halloween and Halloween 3, and those are my 2 movies, right? Like I'm a stickler for that kind of stuff. But I said, you know what? As a person who's a filmmaker, let me watch this. You know what I mean? Let me see what this does. And it was so lacking. I mean, from the opening of like, we're podcasters going to interview Michael Myers, I was like, oh God, kill me. I was like, the modernity of this is like just kill me. Don't do this. I mean, you as a podcaster, Ryan, it's like they seemed when okay, here's the thing. When Hollywood people write what they think is a podcaster, they've never done a podcast, and they don't know any podcasters. Like, I feel like they wrote those people and it was like, this is not what podcasters look or sound like.
Yeah, it felt like it was written with judgment. You know, it was written
it just
with
felt like
judgment.
so it was the Hollywood dollar store version of podcasters. And then like
it totally is. Like
also, the audio quality would have been awful the way they were recording.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, this is all off. This is all wrong. And then so I enjoyed Jamie Lee Curtis as the survivor.
Definitely.
She reminded me, I think it was very Sarah Connor in Terminator 2. Of course, that would be her. That would be her arc, right?
Yeah.
However, she was too much. It was, I wish Gordon Green said, take it down a little bit. Take the anger down, like take this down a little bit, because I didn't believe there was so much hatred between her and her daughter and her granddaughter.
Yeah.
It was just it all felt so heavy and so overblown. And what I was missing was the tone of that first one. It was a small movie. You could tell this was written by committee, where Halloween was written by a guy in a room with an imagination. This was written by committee. It was like put through the ringer of the studio system. It was just not it didn't have what I felt a Halloween movie should have, which is the slow building atmosphere.
Fair enough. Nick.
And a lot of characters at once.
Yeah,
too many characters at once. Sorry.
Too many. No, not at all. Nick, let's go from Halloween 1978, and then Halloween 2018 is literally the sequel to that movie. So you have a long period of time between these two movies. What do you think about the 2018 being the sequel to something that happened in 1978? And what'd you think of the initial movie of the new Halloween trilogy?
So I really like the 2018 film. But again, I also I'm approaching it from a very different perspective than like you guys are, just because like I watched it just as someone who likes horror movies. So I think that with slasher films, so the reason why I like this, I think writing that genre is really hard now. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but like writing a good slasher film is difficult. And what I liked about the 2018 movie comparative to, so I haven't seen Halloween 3, Dennis, so I failed you. I've still failed you in this.
That's okay. H3 Season of the Witch is my favorite of all Halloween movies.
Just recently saw it for the first time, so don't worry, Nick.
But I liked the original Halloween movie. I liked the second one too. They were like my first horror movies I ever watched. So anyway, my brain is now all flustered. What I liked about it though is I thought it captured some of the feeling that I have in that original Halloween movie. So what I loved about the first Halloween movie is I loved the anticipation of getting to the action of that film. There's so much build in that first Halloween movie. It is beautifully executed in terms of like building tension, which is why I think it still works. And for whatever reason, the 2018 Halloween did that for me in similar ways. And then the other reason I liked it, and because I'm a sucker for this, is the acting's good. Bethany, which is what you said. The acting in it is really good. And the dialogue, I think, is good. And so I kind of fall into that trap of like, if I like the dialogue between characters and the performances are really good, I can quickly buy into it. My problem with this Halloween or any of the other ones, I think just making a good slasher film is hard. I think it's just hard to do that genre right now and do it well. And for whatever reason, 2018 worked for me. I thought it hit the notes I wanted in this type of film. The second one did not. I hate. I also, one of my things with this film and the second one is I don't know thematic. Like I know what it is now, but I don't understand thematically what's happening. And that's my biggest issue with all the films in this new trilogy is I don't know, like, what story are you telling? Is it Jamie Lee Curtis? Is it Michael Myers? Is it the town? I don't.
Boom.
I can't tell.
Exactly.
They don't know.
Exactly.
They don't know.
And
will
no connect. There's no.
Yeah.
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
I do want to discuss this this trilogy as a whole for sure. But I think you're right, Nick. I felt the same way about 2018. I really enjoyed it, and I think it was because you have kind of this Force Awakens high. You know, you're seeing these characters for the first time in a really long time, and everyone has said it. You know, Star Wars Force Awakens, Disney's first attempt at, you know, introducing us to their Star Wars universe. It was almost beat for beat the same as the original, A New Hope. And a lot of people liked that. They liked that they kept it to the formula. They stuck to it. They felt that nostalgic high again, giving us some old characters mixed with some new. And then, you know, and then they just wild out from there in terms of the sequels.
Man, did they wild out. Holy shit.
They wilded it out.
How do you not put Han, Luke, and Leia? How do you not put Han, Luke, and Leia in the same goddamn movie? But that's a whole other story.
Yeah. Well, and that's
a whole other story.
Yeah. That's something that you brought up, Brian, that I liked. So for me as a viewer, as someone who liked that first movie, I felt like Force Awakens a great way. I felt like, it felt, it's funny because you guys are writers and I'm not. So I didn't get the writing room by committee, but to me, it felt like, I'm back in, they simplified the world, right? Because the Halloween movies, all of a sudden, like, it's his sister,
they got
and then
crazy.
Like, the other 3, 4, 5, and 6, which are, other than Paul Rudd, because he's a national treasure, are just batshit crazy. Like, and so I like all
and
like,
supernatural and
it's real bad.
Yeah, it goes crazy. And so I was like, this is simpler, right? And it is simplified, and I can buy into the world, and like, it was able for me to be, like you said, I'm like, I know this world. And I like that it's simple, which I'll get to as this went crazy. But that first movie was just, it was a simple, like, here's this dude, he's back in the asylum. Like, he's gonna go kill some people. Okay, go. I'm on board. That's the same. This seems right. It's not anything weird. He's just a force of nature.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move to Halloween Kills quickly, because I know that's not why people are watching. But Halloween Kills, I think, was just Gordon Green's carte blanche. Like, you're building a bridge. It's clear that, again, Halloween 2018 was very well received for the most part. It made a shit ton of money. And just like the original with John Carpenter, they're like, all right, we got to make a sequel. Money's there. We got to do it. And this is the curse of studios. This is the problem. You create such a good, rich story in the original, and then it just goes nuts after that. And I think that's what we got with Halloween Kills. That movie was made. They decided this is going to be a trilogy. We need to make it a trilogy because there's money to be had.
Gotta be a trilogy.
What's that, Nick?
Because everything's got to be a trilogy now. Like,
everything's got to be a trilogy.
Yeah.
So Halloween Kills kind of served as that bridge. Not a lot is going to happen character-wise. We're going to go crazy with the kills, hence the title. And in that respect, I think they did a great job. Like, holy shit, that a freaking, like, just
they killed a lot of people. Yeah.
And the opening scenes, the kills with the firemen was amazing. I mean, as a cinematographer and a person who loves watching cinematography play out, those were outstanding. Like, it is beautifully shot. Like, Kills is really well shot. My issue with that one is all of it. It is just like, and here's the thing, Ryan, they actually, so McBride and company and David Gordon Green, they actually did pitch this. As far as I know, this is what I know. They did pitch this as a trilogy. They were like, we want to do a trilogy. We want to bring it back. We have Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. Those are the titles. What I think happens with David Gordon Green, and which I respect, if you look at his filmography, he does stuff like Joe, and then he does stuff like Halloween. He's all over the place. I think and I like that. He's a journeyman. He just does whatever he wants to do when he's in the mood. Does that work for a trilogy? No. You have to stay focused, and they have to stay connected. That's how trilogies work. You know what I mean? So I think he went off the fucking rails for Kills. Kills feels like it was written by 4 people.
Yeah.
You know? And there's a lot of McBride in that goddamn movie. And, and I think that they were like, I think we gave him a little too much in the writers.
There's a lot of like, there's a, God, I feel, I don't want to.
I like all these people. I hope I get to work with them one day, but you know, like this is my honest opinion.
Because here's the other thing, and I'm going to give like one more caveat is it is, you know, Nick, to your point, I think it's really difficult to write a horror film, especially right now, and especially then, like in terms of like 2018 through 2020, 21, because there was so much societally going on, and we don't know how much they were getting notes saying make it more of a social commentary, make sure that we don't know what kind of interference was happening with the project, but going to Halloween Ends and knowing we have a character that we end up with in Corey, it would have been such a gift to have Corey join us at the beginning. So that we have this guy, great. Because when we meet Corey, I immediately was like, dream guy. Like, I like a guy with dark hair, glasses, who's a little nerdy and a little wounded.
What?
Right? I like a brooding man. And
I'm so wounded.
So Corey shows up. We immediately understand that the accident that happened to him and from him and with him happened because this child was a brat. The child was monstrous and an accident happened. And so we're immediately on his side because everyone thinks he's a monster, but we know the kid was a brat.
He was a sympathetic character, which is what we need in a horror film. Yeah.
So if you can see the arc that happened with him happening in the first movie, we really like him. Maybe he's a peripheral character. In the second movie, he becomes more integral. Maybe he's involved in the asylum situation where the other patient gets killed in one way or another. We see him interacting with that. And then we realize in number 3 that he is turned. That to me would be so fulfilling because what a great character that was. Yeah. And I think the parts of Halloween Ends that I liked were his parts, and the things I didn't like were that it was all like a whiplash inducing character arc that happened so quickly. And it's such a lost opportunity with the number of characters in Halloween Kills. We had like 77 different characters in Halloween Kills.
Oh my God, that was insane. I was like, I don't know. I was like,
give us Corey. I want Corey.
Well, and that's that, right? There's no like storyline wise, there's no like, that's what I'm saying. Like, what story is it? Like, is it James Michael Myers? Is it now Corey's story? Is it the story of Haddonfield? Like, I felt like you watch that first movie, it is not Haddonfield's story. It's not. That is Michael Myers versus Jamie Lee Curtis and her family. Like the story, what I loved about Halloween 2018 is the story of women, right? Like these generational story of women, like a grandmother, a mother, and a daughter, and how trauma, right, affects this family. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I can dig that, right? That's good to me. That's good storytelling because you're adding a layer of complexity to Michael Myers in a slasher film, which great. That's what I want.
That's a great point.
Like, that's a great point. Yeah.
Give me what I like, my storyteller thing. I'm loving that. And then you get to Halloween Kills and like, that's fucking gone. Like there's tangentially some of it. And I'm like, okay, is this story about the town? Who's this about? And then you have Corey in this next one where I'm like, oh, so now it's his story. And now we're back to like supernatural. Like Michael Myers is not just, he's like, there's some supernatural elements. I would have loved, like you said, either give me Corey to begin with, right? And I'm following this character's journey, or make it about Haddonfield from the beginning and how this trauma affects that town, or keep it simple. Make it about the effects on which I guess Halloween Ends kind of does, the effects on this family, right? Like generational trauma on families. Because to me, trauma, especially coming out of everything we like you talk about, like everything's been going on, like in the trash fires, like how trauma affects people generationally is super interesting. And then you can tie in like that horror element, because then you're putting your characters in a specific genre, and like they lost that trauma element, I feel like, after the first film, and I didn't know where it was going. And so for Halloween Ends, I'm like, okay, I guess Corey's still the trauma of the town, but it's not about the women anymore. It's about him, but still kind of about them. It's just all over the place. There's no focus. And like I tell my students, we're talking about acting or storytelling, like you gotta be specific, right? When you're an actor, like specificity. So like if you're an actor, specificity on a character. What's my character want? What's my character need? If you're a writer and director, specificity on that story, right? Like, what is the story trying to tell? And if it's a trilogy, like the first Star Wars trilogy, like, okay, what are my acts and what are my beats and who is the story about? I don't know who the story is about in terms of all three films. As singular films, I can figure it out. But I guess that's what fails me, especially in that second film, where I'm like,
yeah, and you have to tie the main thing in a trilogy. You have to tie a thread. They have to feel like a family, even as much as like, you know, Return of the Jedi isn't that great. It still feels like it's part of the. It's Empire's the best. Sorry, the first one, Empire. Return of the Jedi is a kids movie. You know what I mean? Like it's a kids movie. Well, it's great.
What are you talking about?
In that trilogy,
what's kiddie about teddy bears?
Right, hey, teddy bears with little ears.
Bethany loves teddy bears. So I think that what went wrong was they were like, we got the titles, but we don't have the stories. You know, they're like,
right.
You know, and right, and I enjoy, and it really feels like it was writing on the fly, and like you can really tell that it was rushed, like, and now that's what makes me sad because, like you said, Bethany, what a missed opportunity. Had we started with Michael Myers in a fucking sewer, and that's where he disappeared to in 1978. He's been living underground. He comes out on Halloween. Every Halloween, someone disappears. He feeds off of that. The evil seeps through the town, and it's all building up to Corey and his like relationship with Corey and him infiltrating the family and Michael Myers using him to get back to Laurie Strode and figure out where she is. That could have happened. It would have been awesome if this was the first one. I would have flipped a table.
The way this feels. So I've done a lot of voiceover for live events, and the way that the thing that's really fun about it is that I sit with a headset and I get to see all of the different cameras from all the camera operators running around the auditorium or whatever, and you see the director choosing which camera operator's shot they're going to use next, right? And what invariably happens if it's like a live concert is if that concert's being televised, you get all of these shots and you kind of see like you're trying to figure out what you want. But then invariably you'll find like there's one person in the audience who's awesome. And like at award shows, it's usually like Taylor Swift, right? Where she's like dancing. And all of a sudden, if you're watching at home, you're seeing tons of shots of Taylor Swift dancing. And it's because the director realized that person is the person who's going to give me a good shot every time I go to that camera operator. And that's what Corey felt like. It felt like they were shooting a live movie and then they realized, oh, Corey's the one. And we're going to put all in on Corey. And that was a super long story just to get to, I think that this, yes, they were building this parachute as they fell down. And luckily they landed on something that I think makes it so that people will remember at least this movie well. But it is too fast, too much. So they fell in love immediately. As someone who I'm willing to almost forgive anything in a movie. And a movie right away. I love it. I'm like, oh, sure. I'll make sure that makes sense to me. No problem. I don't see any plot holes usually. For me to feel like this was super whiplashy and that she fell in love with this guy way too fast.
Yeah.
And,
That was
like, that to me was just like,
Ryan. Let us know if you want us to go through the plot at all. Like, you know.
Well, yes, we'll go through the plot for sure. I do want to, and I agree with you, Bethany. I was like, holy, like, talk about Romeo and Juliet. Like, this is insane. But let's rewind a bit. I do want to talk about the opening because for me personally, this was the most effective part of the holy shit. Not just the cold opening, but then the title sequence I want to talk about too, which everyone is talking about. Let's talk about the cold opening first, who introduces us to our new, apparently, protagonist, antagonist. I don't know. Corey Cunningham. The film opens on this young man who is going to babysit on Halloween. So right then you're like, oh man.
I thought he was
all
dead.
Right. Oh, I know. I'm like, they're gender flipping. We got a male babysitter. He's about to get sliced and diced. We're going back to classics. great. No, not
good
what
for
we got
him.
at all. Who wants to take it? This cold opening.
I'll
Walk
take
us through
it.
it and what
Nick.
you thought.
Nick.
I was like, fuck.
It was amazing.
Oh yeah, I was watching that same thing. I was like, okay. And again, I appreciate homages, so I was like, oh, great. We're going back to this very first, like the first Halloween movie, and Jamie Lee Curtis is the babysitter, and now it's this guy, and he's this really nice guy, and all the hallmarks of Jamie Lee Curtis's character in that first film. And so you meet this kid, they're talking to the parents. They're saying, he's been scared because of the events of these previous movies and the effect, again, this effect on Haddonfield. And then they're watching the movie, and he ends up being a little dick. I mean, just like the worst possible kid you could ever imagine. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, that's funny. And that felt very Danny McBride to me. I was like, oh, okay, like that's funny. I get it. I enjoyed that. And then he locks Corey. He disappears, and you see a door open. So now you're like, oh, Michael Myers is there. He's going to kill the babysitter because Michael Myers only kills babysitters. If you haven't seen Halloween Kills. And then he locks Corey in an attic, and Corey's trying to get out. And then you see this moment of panic from Corey, but also rage. It's a really nice kind of little foreshadow to what might happen later on, like when a nice person with rage. And he kicks the door and sends this kid over the fucking rails and down. And I sat there and just like, you watch a movie and you scream, you're like, oh God. Because like, again, as a parent watching stuff, when anything happens to a kid, you're just horrified. Like, you're just like, and I felt horrified for the parents, even though the kid was a dick. And I felt horrified for Corey. I was like, if this is what this movie's going to be, this thing's going to be fucking amazing. Because I'm already like in it to win it. And then it changed. And then the rest.
Well, let's talk about that. And then, okay. So you have this extremely jolting and disturbing opening where this little kid dies.
Oh,
and then we are looking up at Corey from like 5 flights up, looking down at the kid he just accidentally killed, apparently accidentally. I think that could be open to some interpretation for some people out there, not me personally. But let's talk about, okay, so that happens, and then boom, title sequence. And Dennis, take it, my man. Yeah. As our Season of the Witch.
Holy shit, dude. Okay.
What did you think of the opening title sequence?
So he was so excited. I was so excited. So Mothman 46 in the chat said, now it's finished. We can continue with the best of the series, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Totally agree. I am on your side. Ryan just dropped the link to my YouTube channel. That's the first movie I cover on my horror docu-series is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, because it's such a great film. It opens up with the Halloween 3 font, and I was like, holy okay, cool. And he's been paying homage to Halloween 3 throughout the whole series. The masks are in the film. He actually wanted to end this in the Silver Shamrock factory.
I heard that.
Yes, with the masks coming out, and then the last mask that comes out is a Michael Myers mask. And I was like, dude,
that's cool.
Why didn't you fucking do that? Like, you took this big swing. Do that. Give us what we want. Give the Halloween 3 people what we want. So I thought that was great. I was like, okay, great homage. Now, also, loved that opening. Cinematography right away. I was like, this feels like a Halloween movie. They shifted the cinematography from that slick, like TV-looking cinematography to actual, real, drab 70s feeling, gray, green. A lot of like it was warm and green, and it felt like I was like, oh shit, we're watching a Halloween movie.
Yeah.
That kid is great too. The kid who plays Corey.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Amazing.
He's awesome. I was like, this is good acting.
Yeah. He's
like,
wonderful.
Very good.
The acting is great.
Proving that David Gordon Green can get a great performance from someone. So I believe in him as a director, because and a lot of this felt like Joe. I don't know if you've seen Joe, the film with Nicolas Cage. This was when Nicolas Cage was in his renaissance. He had just done Mandy. Then Joe came out. David Gordon Green did a great movie called Joe. It's not spectacular. It's a good movie, but it's a great performance from Nicolas Cage. And if you can get a great performance from Nicolas Cage, you can get a great performance from anyone, I say. And like, because you have to rein him in,
But I love, and I will never say a bad thing about Nicolas Cage.
So going back to this, I thought he was great. I was like, I like this. And that opening was fucking chef's kiss.
Yeah.
And then you get the Halloween 3, the Halloween 3 fonts. I'm
Well-
like, oh my God, all right, I'm in. You
Well,
won me
and-
over.
Right. And I think, Gordon Green has said like Halloween Season of the Witch is one of his favorites. He did want to kind of pay homage to that in this, which he did. And I think on a deeper level, it kind of showed us, oh, we are not going to get a film like Michael Myers
really good
that
point.
we're used to.
Yep.
Yep.
I think that was him kind of subliminally being like, get ready, guys. This is not...
Yeah.
This is going to be a departure from what you think it's going to be.
And
I don't give a shit what you think about that.
Yep.
Here's
And
my
he-
movie.
Yeah.
Boom.
And he basically remade those like first 3 films. Like if you look tonally, like the second one is in a hospital. The third one, Michael Myers is barely in it.
Mhm.
I mean, in
That's
the
a good
third
point.
in the third one, a Hot Season of the Witch, he's not even in it. There's just a trailer to the film. So I think he was subtly paying homage to those first 3 films as well, which is great as a nerd. As nerds, we're like, that's awesome. Are the normies going to get it? No. Like most people are going to be like, what the fuck is going on? Like someone just said in the chat, the first hour and 20 was so confusing.
Mhm.
And I get that because
Yeah.
it's like, what is going on? Like, is this a Halloween movie? Like,
Well,
Yeah.
and I will say this. I mean, there have been, we're now in the time of like everything is being rebooted. Stuff from our childhood is being brought back. It's a lot of nostalgia being remade.
nostalgia bait.
Yeah, and I know a lot of complaints people have made is that the people in charge of these reboots have not necessarily done their homework. They haven't read the comic books or they haven't read the original projects or whatever. I will say that this team clearly knows Halloween. They clearly have an affection for it and they clearly know what they're doing. Like when it comes to the references and the Easter eggs and, kills mirroring
So many.
original kills, like they know. And I have a ton of respect for that.
But references and Easter eggs does not a film
Right.
good make. Is that
Does not
Yeah.
a good,
does
not good a
the-
film
not
make.
not a filmmaker good?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Good
But I do
maker,
want to like,
film of-
but I do want to like, I do want to give them points for clearly knowing what they're talking about and knowing what people, missed and loved about the originals. I just think it wasn't.
They're fans. You could
Yeah.
tell
Yeah,
they're fans,
they're
but
fans.
it was completely unfocused. But back to Halloween Ends, like again, that opening, I was like, this is the best opening out of all 3.
For sure.
Out of all 3.
You gonna kill a kid at the
Mm.
beginning? I mean,
Yeah, wow. That
in
shows
that
you right
way?
away, like, nothing is off limits.
Like-
You kill a kid or a puppy, like, you're in for some disturbing
like-
shit
Or a
for the rest
teddy
of the movie.
bear.
or a teddy bear. And there was like no question that kid is dead. Like they
Oh, yeah.
went for it.
Yep. And I love that he was like this
Ugh.
garbage kid who was like awful and like
Oh, he deserved it.
Yeah, and you were like there's a couple of things
Nick,
that I
as Nick's a father, I
Nick's
should
like,
be
"No!"
careful what I'm saying. Yeah.
I'll get to
you can
start.
tell who the parents are in this conversation and who are
I
not,
know.
you know.
The 3 of us are like, oh,
We're
that
like, kill the
dumb
kid, yeah.
Protect the cat.
Save the cat, kill the kid. I don't care. But but the thing about horror
Excuse
films is, my rule is this: protagonist care about. There's got to be one person you want to die in the film. Like
Yeah.
there's got to be one person that you cheer when they get killed by the person, but then you have to cheer for the person that is the protagonist that will eventually survive or beat this person. And so like that kid immediately you were like, I don't give a shit. That I'm like,
I know.
you're sort of cheering and going, oh shit, at the same time because he was such a piece of shit kid. Like and he was so mean to Corey and like
Yeah.
was and Corey, I actually felt for him.
Totally.
I was like, oh, I
God.
like this
Well,
kid.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I like him.
He's
Yeah,
such a
go
different
ahead,
kid than the kid from Halloween Kills too, which I think
Yeah.
is really interesting. Halloween Kills you love. That kid's like, you're like, this kid is awesome. And this kid's like the polar opposite. Like their use of a kid in that sense with the babysitter tie-in, I think was really interesting. Because that kid I really liked. And I'm like, this kid in this film. Well, he's not
Well, and it was
incredible.
smart. It was a really smart choice to make this kid be a jerk because again, it puts Corey in this sort of angelic light of all of us worrying about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it had been like a
Makes
really
him a
sweet
sympathetic character. Yeah.
exactly. If it had been a sweet character, a sweet little kid that he killed, it would be a tough thing. But we
Oh.
all know that he as a person cannot say the kid was an asshole because
Mhm.
that's not going to
Well,
stand up in court.
Exactly.
The town isn't going to be like, well, then okay.
Well, I mean, if
Done,
he was
not
sick,
guilty.
that
Yeah.
guy. Something
Well-
that was interesting Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah. No. I was just
intro-
gonna say we feel for his parents more than we do the
Oh
kid.
my
who-
God.
Yes.
The
Yes.
You
bar.
know. Yeah.
Oof,
And
yeah.
Sorry, Nick. Go
like,
ahead.
Sides of that.
Yeah.
One thing I think with this film that, like, speaking of the beginning of it, that really stuck with me, that I think hurt the film. And again, overall, I did like it. And an intro like that, I don't know how Dennis and Bethany, what you guys think, but to me, if I have an intro like that, right, that's how this movie started. I expect like a runaway train, like that it is going to fucking move. And this movie did not do that. It was like, we're gonna start Fast and Furious, and we're gonna slow way down.
Yep.
I didn't
like the original, in my opinion.
Yeah, it didn't set me up for the way that I thought it was going to like go.
Not to end a trilogy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, this was a great starting point,
Yeah.
but they put it at the end.
I
Had
would
this
have second movie. I told you guys that in a chat. I was like, if this movie would have been the second movie for me, and then the third movie was a continuation of like these events, that would have totally worked. Because you get the homage in 2018, which is like getting you back into this world and kind of like palate cleansing it and like bringing you in, and then you introduce, even if Corey came in the second movie, and then it's about okay, it's not about Michael Myers anymore. Like that we are ending that story, but it's about his effect on the town and these women, and like this other character who you feel for, and then you watch his slow evolution into what Michael Myers is now. Because then Michael Myers is not the same person, right? Like that person is gone, but the evil that is the town continues on through him. And then like watch the de-evolution of that character, and you can both then like that character and then hate that character. And you get the same fucking ending. You could still have the one with Jamie Lee Curtis, and I would have been like, fuck yeah, great. But
what would have been awesome? What would have been awesome is you build to this, right? So the first Halloween movie, you could have had Michael Myers disappeared in 1978. No one knows where he went, but every year there's like some weird disappearance on Halloween night. And then there's such an opportunity to build with like the POV of someone walking home, from a party or something, and he kills them violently. And then the next Halloween, the same thing happens. And then Jamie Lee is like, we go to Jamie Lee and she's like, it's him. I know it's him, or so, and then Corey could have been a minor character in the first one that grew. And you're like, whoa, shit. Oh my God, it's Corey. Oh my God, Corey's the freaking.
He's going to become
he's going to become the main dude. And then he gets wiped out at the end. And then there's like this big fight in the third one that could have been through Laurie Strode, and then Corey and her granddaughter. It could have been great.
Yeah.
But they fucked it up. So, but if we want to go back to Halloween Ends and how it progresses, I thought it really, you're right, Nick, it hits the brakes too hard. Then suddenly we get this love story. But first I want to get back into the reintroduction of Laurie Strode. Cringy how it was like, I'm gonna write my memoirs, and that's how we're gonna get our exposition. I was like, Jesus, I mean, Ryan, as a writer, were you just like, God fucking damn it, you used the laptop computer writing thing?
And look, if you're gonna have tropes in a movie, a horror movie is the one to do it in. But when you have such a strong female character like Laurie Strode and an actress like Jamie Lee Curtis, and then you do this to her in the third movie of like, I'm writing a book. I'm like, are you?
Can I tell you?
Why are you writing a book?
Can I tell you why I didn't care? I love exposition dumps. And the more obvious they are, the better. I'm so tickled by them. I love it when someone has to have a call with Vincent D'Onofrio from a university where he has to tell me the history of Bagul. I love it. Yep. I love it when someone has to be on a car ride with a government official who has to fill them in on the history of the experiments.
And he literally says, fill me in.
Fill me in. And I'm like, I'm already. I love, because how are you going to, I just love an exposition dump.
Ever. Like, tell me,
I love it.
Tell me your
what's really interesting too, is I was so shocked to hear this out of John Carpenter's mouth. So John Carpenter in the first film, it's a lot of show and don't tell, it's a lot. There's barely any like, because there didn't need to be an exposition or whatever. But he said, the biggest notes are always show it, then say what you showed, then show it again. He was like, that's like rules in studio movies. Like, you got to keep showing and telling and showing and telling. And so like, that's what I felt happened in that. They were like, we got to fill everyone in because Halloween, you know, it's been like how many years and we got to do it. And I get it. But I was just like, oh, cringe. Really? I was like, you're gonna have her sitting at a fucking laptop talking about like this is my story.
Doogie Howser.
Doogie Howser. So, but I will say this. I loved where they brought her.
Yes.
I loved Laurie Strode in this movie.
I did too.
I was like, she's awesome.
Hold on, Dennis. Because I gotta hear you justify this because 4 years have passed since Halloween Kills.
Oh, it's uneven. I know.
Which people are like, wait, what the? I thought this trilogy was supposed to all be like the same night. And the writers have gone on the record saying, no, that was never the case. I don't know if I believe them on that. I don't know who or what to believe.
I don't believe them.
Any of this.
I think they're
doing a lot of course correction. But tell me why you like where Laurie Strode is. Because for me, it made no sense. Her daughter was just murdered by the man who tried to murder her.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I know it's 4 years later, but for us, all of a sudden, she's like, everything's cool. I'm writing a book. I'm putting some spider webs up, you know, on my new home.
Not cool, Ryan.
Yeah. Explain this to me, Dennis.
Okay.
What?
So
Not cool.
I am treating this, and this is very funny because I said, you know who's going to love this movie? People who love Halloween Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Every H3 fan that I know is like, I really loved Halloween Ends because it diverted so much. Treating this as its own film, right? So here's how I see this. Imagine we had Halloween 1978 and then Halloween Ends was the first movie we got after that. That's what this felt like. We got all the exposition of what happened in between. We didn't have to sit through the first two terrible movies. So I was literally watching it like that. I was like, this was the palate cleanser that I needed.
Yeah.
This really was the palate cleanser that I needed. Why I liked her was because they sort of brought her back to, I am trying to get back to a normal life. I've done the survivor thing. I've gone through this horrible shit. I just want to live like a fucking normal person. You know what I mean? Which I feel was good. I was like, yes, okay, I can get behind this. Plus, I loved her again.
Yeah.
I didn't like her in the first two movies. I hated that I didn't like Laurie Strode in the first two movies. I was like, I wanted to like the survivor Laurie Strode with the guns and the shit, but I was like, she was too much.
And I also think that once they realized that, not to keep going back to Corey, but I think once they landed on him, they needed to make her different. Because if she was still gun nut traumatized Laurie Strode, she and Corey would be super similar once he becomes bad.
Yep.
And they needed her to have gone to hell and now made it back out so that she can recognize the hell in him.
Yes.
And can be like, oh, I see that.
And I don't think that we would have gotten if she wasn't as soft as they didn't soften her as much, but she was still tough. Yep. So it's like, so we still had that final girl in her. There was still that thing where it's like, you want to do it or should I? When they pop the tire.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, that was cool. I was like, there's Laurie Strode. We're getting these hints of her, but so she's suppressing it to live the normal life and get on with her life. And you know, the town obviously cannot move on from her and what she did, which was kind of silly. I was like, why are you yelling at this woman?
That didn't work for me.
Yeah, all that stuff didn't work. But as her character, I was like, I like this version of Laurie Strode. I got behind her. I felt sympathetic. She was sweet. There was a sweetness to her, especially when she's like, I like your face, like in the shopping.
Oh my God, that was adorable.
Oh, I loved it. I like that they softened her a bit more. So that's my justification. You know,
I think she got a lot of therapy.
Feel free to you know punch at me.
She got a lot of therapy.
That's
Nick's got something to say.
Yep, get Nick. We can see you chomping, man. Go ahead.
No. I actually agree. I totally agree with you, Dennis. But I think you still have to have Laurie Strode in the first movie for it to work. So what I love about the softer Laurie Strode, from a movie perspective, it gave her a really clear arc, right? Like, you watch her because she's so damaged in the first film. The second film, is she even in it? I don't know. Who knows what's happening in that film?
She's in a hospital bed.
Yeah, it's a hospital bed. Great.
Yeah.
Which I would have just give me the original Halloween 2, and we'll just pretend that's the second one for this series, because that's a better movie in my opinion. Exactly. But I like that you're like, okay, so we see because I love the trauma track for this movie. Like, you see what this trauma has done to her and her family, right? And she takes that path, and that path does not work. Right, it actually causes more negative results because of Halloween Kills, because everyone dies. And And now you see her going, well, like Bethany said, you see her going like full circle into like, I'm gonna lean hard into the like, I'm gonna live a normal life. I'm gonna lean mega hard, just like I'm gonna go 180 from the first film. And why I love that, right? Because that's the other way people deal with trauma, right? Is to be like, everything is fine.
That's
fine.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
But then it gives her, and then it gives her character, which is so like, but I don't think it works unless you have 2018's Laurie, unless you have like gun-toting Sarah Connor Laurie, because you want to see her lean in the other direction. Because what it does for me is I go, oh, but I know who she is now, actually. The Laurie Strode is like, okay, and like is not, to me, that's a front. It is like, you know, when you try fake it till you make it, like that's not my, like, this is Laurie Strode faking it until she makes it, and she kind of is. And then when she starts to flip again, you go, oh,
there she is.
Yeah.
There
Mask
that's
comes off.
yes.
I like
You're
that.
right. That's a great point.
I like that.
It gave her someplace to go. But I need as a person watching it, I need that initial Laurie Strode who has gone full on the other direction to watch, to be like, well, was that person still there? Like, oh yeah. Oh, she's still there. Oh, and then when she's there, she's like really there. So that was like the one thing that I think when you talk about these movies being connected or good storytelling to these movies, Laurie Strode and their character arc for her, I really liked. I just, and maybe that's why in Halloween Kills you don't get to see them interact together at all. Like, 'cause that was a big complaint that a lot of people say, like, you have Laurie Strode and Michael Myers and they never really like.
Well, and that's why I think this thing was so.
It's like they were on a Zoom call.
Yeah. This is why this thing was so unfocused, because it's like we're building up to the end, and then they just give you this fart of an ending. You know, it was like if Halloween Kills, she's barely in it.
I know.
And then there's barely any interaction in the third one. People were like, "What the fuck did you do?"
I was fine with Michael Myers not being in it a ton. I was. Really
I actually
fine,
like that.
He's
never in these movies that much.
What's he gonna do? Continue to slowly walk around? But like the thing that I was like bummed about was there he is. Was when they finally see each other, they finally meet, they finally have their fight. The fight was so short. And this is what the last 40 years have been building up to is the two finally, like, who's gonna win? And the fight was really like, I pushed you down, he got back up, I pushed him down, I put a knife in his hand, and now he's stuck, and now we just watch him slowly bleed from the wrist. And it just felt I
liked that.
I turned to Dennis and I would have liked it if it had been more. I want like a battle royale. I want like the whole house is on fire.
Bethany, you bring up such a good point. Now we have to, I think there's some hypocrisy in the writing here, because in the first one, 2018, we're kind of told he's just a human.
Yeah.
You know, he's just a human. Maybe he's strong, but whatever. He has this will and this evil to just keep killing. Halloween Kills, then we're getting inklings that maybe he's a little bit more, he's superhuman, and he cannot die. They literally say, evil dies tonight. No, it doesn't.
No.
You see, by the end of that movie, evil does not die. Neither does Michael Myers. He has some sort of superhuman ability.
Yeah.
And then immediately in this last movie, they go back to this idea that he's just an old man.
Yeah.
And that he's not. So I'm like,
or evil. He's not just an old man. It's unclear.
It is unclear. No, I like that ambiguity, but I'm like, I don't think the writers really know what they want Michael Myers to be.
No, because there was 4 of them, and then it was rewritten again.
And tests, and I'm sure that, just so much. I just wanted a final. I liked that they were both clearly older. I liked that Jamie Lee Curtis is older getting into a fight. I like that he is too. Of course. And I would have loved to have seen like a moment where they're both like catching their breath and then like getting back into it. But I wanted like this final. I wanted her to be running upstairs. I wanted her to be jumping. And I wanted him
the issue with that is they did that in the first movie. The house was on fire in the first movie.
Yes,
they did the battle royale in the first movie.
That's a great point. They
did it already. Yeah, they blew it.
2018.
Yeah, they blew it because it was like, well, we got to keep the asses in the seats and like, give them what they want. And then they did. And then the problem is when you try to go back to that, you can't do that all over again.
No, you're right. You're right.
That's what I liked about it though, because I remember when I was doing fight choreography. He had this really good stage fight choreography who made a really good point. He's like, sometimes the best fights, and it's counterintuitive, are short.
Yes.
Like you build up to like a huge thing, which Dan said you did already, and you had a huge thing in the second movie. I mean, like a mob thing in the second movie. And so this movie is like, so I liked this movie. It was like this conversation, because she has two, because she kind of has the one with Corey too. Like I like that it's like this conversation is happening, and like it's building, like you've been building towards this moment for so long that it's like, as opposed to it being this long drawn thing, it's a burst. It's a burst and it is done. And I did like how they killed him, because like it circled it back to, nope, he's just a man. He's a man and he can die like a man. And like, for me, there was something about that. I was like, I actually really liked the simplicity and the speed and the freneticness of such a small room. Like having that fight take place in such a contained area. I really liked. It worked for me on a very level, because it felt it felt visceral. Like that felt real. Like it felt strangely real to me. Like you got to make sure he's dead now, and that's what she does. There was something also almost sensual about it that I felt interesting, because like,
okay,
nice.
Let's go there. Wasn't expecting that. All right, Nick, we'll screen on you, buddy.
Oh, hey.
Tell us why this is sensual, please.
There was something. So there's always this, like, again, when we talk about slasher movies, and you have this idea of like, you know, there's horror and sex, and they're so intertwined, and there's something about their relationship, right? Like they're so intertwined, almost in that way, like a weird coupling that they are. And so to have
it says Nick on sensuality in the screen for anyone's just listening.
Who wrote that?
I don't know.
It's weird.
Nick, I'm sorry, buddy. I had to. Please. No, I get where you're going. Please continue.
And so, because like even in the death, like the intimacy of how she kills him, right? Because everything else in this movie, like every kill Halloween kills, is all just, which again, I've heard complaints like it wasn't brutal enough, or they seemed cheesy. Which for me, that is what horror movie killing is. Like it's all fucking cheesy. It's just like how cool can you make that cheesy look, like cutting someone's tongue off? So for this kill, right, because you're ending it, it's so simple what she does, and it's so slow, and it's so deliberate, and how she kills him, that I was just like, that is such a good choice. Maybe intimate. That's why I say sensual, because it's so intimate. Like, because it wasn't like she does it fast. It isn't like she goes in and she's like, boom, boom, dies. She is like,
I like, it's a good take.
Time, and like you feel that like connection through that, whereas like usually deaths in horror movies, guys, it's all about like, to reference a movie Ryan and I worked with someone like Terrifier 2, or even the first Terrifier, which is brutal, but people are like, yeah, it's fucking brutal. Like, yeah, I mean, I did a horror movie like that. Literally, it's what's in the opening of this. But like, I liked something that was pared down and quiet and intimate, and like, this is they're each other's driving forces.
Yeah,
close it out.
They're holding hands at one point.
Oh,
now
it's
you mention
wild.
That's such a good point, Nick.
And there was also a very, very like possibly erotic moment between Corey and Michael Myers when he's holding the body.
Yeah,
when he's holding the police officer, the douchebag, and Michael's driving the knife into him. It was like an orgasm, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there was some grunts there.
That was very sexual.
And which is always a theme in horror movies, and like that's something new horror movies have lacked a lot of. And so I like that they're doing it, like you said, Dennis, these slow, like there's something like that idea of like sex and death and emotion, and where these things like all combine, and pleasure and pain. I mean, that's what Hellraiser is all about, right? Like pleasure and pain, and like that line between. I just watched the new Hellraiser. That line between the two of them, and I thought that those moments were really well done. Those are the things that made me like this movie a lot. Where I was like,
it felt like a play. The last kind of I don't know,
and this coming from a playwright, so like, Ryan, I'm curious to hear your take on this as a writer.
As much as I made fun of Nick for saying sensuality, like I think there is an intimacy to those final moments that I really appreciated, rather than this big epic Freddy versus Jason whole movie sort of feel. I did like I think it was tacked on. Like I honestly think this was like executive notes of get Michael Myers in there, end the story. But the first hour and 40 minutes, you can do whatever the hell you want. But I do really appreciate the intimacy of the one room, that the battle isn't that big. I love this idea that Bethany says of like these two older people. Like I would have loved a moment of them both trying to catch their breath, and maybe even Laurie being like, "What's the matter? What's the matter? Come on!" Like
your arthritis kicking in. You need your pain meds,
your
buddy.
Inhaler. I don't know. There might be some Viagra upstairs.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point.
To get
though.
his knife up.
Yeah, that's a good point. Though I hadn't thought about that level of the intimacy aspect, because you and I, when we watched it together, with the moment where Corey is holding the body and Michael Myers is stabbing it, it reminded me of something from like Handmaid's Tale, where like the woman sits behind the woman who's giving birth, and it's sort of like it was a really interesting way of presenting it. So
the way it was framed,
yeah,
he was holding, like, that was Michael gaining his power back, and it was a birth.
It felt like
that's how I saw that whole scene. It was giving birth to the evil again, through this person, and Corey is the avatar or the birth giver, you know. So he was the woman that was, you know.
So I like this. I like Nick. I like talking about the end. You guys' take on the end is really interesting.
Yeah, and we'll circle back to that for sure, because I do enjoy the end. Let's circle back to Corey. Okay, so we haven't really touched on what happens after he accidentally kills this child. He becomes kind of this boogeyman for Haddonfield. They don't care if it was an accident. He killed a kid, and the town completely demonizes this poor young man. His life is just ruined. He has no friends. He has a really fucked up home life, as we come to learn.
With his mom. Oh
God. Too far.
Hey, parents, don't make out with your kids. At one point, she just like nearly tongue kisses him, and it's really upsetting.
It was real.
It was
real gross.
Why did they have to go? We didn't need it.
I'm gonna be super
Bates
brave and like come down against parents tongue kissing their children. I'm gonna go ahead and make that statement.
I will say this.
That's a normal thing. That's a normal, healthy thing to be like, not good.
I will say this, and what I really did appreciate about that is that we do get a lot of films that focus on women being abused by a father, whereas I thought this was a very good take to see that it happens to boys as well, and these things affect both sexes equally, you know, sometimes. And I thought it was interesting to see that relationship. I was like, well, that's refreshing to see, like, oh, this can happen to boys as well. They can have an abusive mother, and the father was more like, just let her go. Like, you know, he was more like the father was, I don't know if that was his like birth father.
I thought it was a step, but I don't know.
Either a stepdad or an uncle. They never make it clear. Oh my God. He had my favorite line. When he just goes, "Hey, I hope you find love."
Oh God, that was so nice.
I'm like, what the hell? Where did that come from?
It was so sweet, and so that's why I thought it was interesting to reverse those roles. Whereas it's like we actually see the mother being the abuser, which is not normal, but it does happen. It's not normal in horror films, but it does happen. And I thought that was interesting to see. We sympathize with Corey a bit more then. You know, we're like, oh, okay, all right. So the mother's overbearing, and she's probably physically abusive, inappropriate,
at least,
at least, as well as psychologically. So I thought that was an interesting take, you know, and how male rage can build from that, you know. And again, using that was good research done on the part of how serial killers are made. Usually it is at the hands of a sexually abusive mother. Sorry, I might be getting a little too graphic here, but you know, that happens with men who become serial killers. It's usually, you find the pattern of there was probably a sexually abusive person. Usually it's the mother. The rage is then, you know, put out towards women.
Okay.
So, or an aunt or something. So that does happen. So I did enjoy that aspect of it. I was like, well, that's okay. I get it. He's not,
Dennis, I agree with you. I think it's a way to approach it. My only thing is I didn't need that. Like
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
need Corey to have this kind of paint by number explanation as to why he becomes a killer, because for me that the thing with his mom like isn't why he becomes a killer. The reason he
Yeah.
becomes a killer is because the town makes him a monster.
Yeah.
Yep.
Michael Myers feeds off of that and uses him as a monster.
Yeah.
And it's a tragic devolution, evolution, I don't even know what you want to call it, of Corey being such a good person
Yes.
and turning into this monster. I didn't need the whole mom thing
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
And those characters, again, there's so many characters in these movies that the parents, dad, I guess, did because dad owned the junkyard, but like he could have just been a guy. I didn't realize that was his father until further along. I have a hard time recognizing faces. And so for me, I didn't recognize that the dad was also the junkyard owner until kind of we were fully into the movie. But the mom, even when Laurie Strode goes to visit Corey's mom to sort of get a feel for things, that scene is sort of doesn't do much. It doesn't really further the plot that much. It's just sort of like Laurie Strode comes in, mom is sort of weird, Laurie Strode leaves.
Right.
It just felt like they had like a quota on characters they had to include. And so like they put a mom in there. I agree with you that it's an interesting that we don't normally get to see that. It's just I didn't think we needed it.
Yeah. I mean, again, tacked on stuff.
Definitely.
That is like 4 writers in a room going, what the fuck do we do?
Let's
4
put a mom
monkeys in a room on a typewriter.
Yeah.
I know.
Jeez, it just felt like they were throwing darts and they were like, all right, that's a good idea. Let's put that one in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But again, to me at least, I will say this may be a hot controversial take. This one felt the most focused, believe it or not, out of the two,
Even
out of
the first
three.
one?
Yes, I hated the first one. I thought it was too many
I know you
people.
hated
I felt it was
breaks my
so
heart.
unfocused and so overblown. It just felt like such a huge. Okay, here's what I liked about this and why I felt this was focused and it felt more like a Halloween movie to me. The cinematography, we talked about that. It felt more like a Haddonfield small town movie. Whereas the first one felt like big budget. Here's a here's a set piece. Here's a set piece. Here's a fire. Here's a parent. Here's a daughter. Here's another daughter. Here's a granddaughter. Here's this. Here's that. Let's throw it all at the wall and then boom. This one felt like this nice, small, contained chamber piece that I was like, oh shit, this feels more like the first Halloween than the Halloween 2018. But I get it. You're a big studio budget. This is Halloween. You got to have the big spectacle first. You know, it's hard to do something small and contained like this. So anyway, that's just my take on it. You know what I mean? Like, that's just my sort of, it felt nice. It felt small,
Well, and again, like they were never guaranteed that this trilogy would
make it
a trilogy,
Right.
So like, why not throw everything into the first one and
of course,
and see what happens?
That
And
makes
it
sense. Yeah, it
definitely
makes sense.
paid off.
Yeah,
for sure.
Something
Go
that
ahead.
you were talking about that. Sorry, I'm having stuff's happening.
It's fine.
Stuff's happening. Sensual stuff with my
Oh God!
You want to get that Nick on sensuality back on the screen? There it is.
There it is.
And now, for those of you who are just listening, he's rubbing his shirt.
Face for radio. So something you brought up was, I thought the Corey thing with the mom, which I liked, and maybe I'm reading way too much into this, is it felt like a kind of a Psycho homage too, which I love.
Absolutely.
Like, bring it back to like
100%.
the first slasher movie with like, Bates and his mom, and that's what that felt to me. I was like, oh, that's a nice, like, it felt like a deep cut. Like, I was like, oh, I like that. I like.
Oh, that's
this,
interesting.
Like, go back to like what, in all intents and purposes, is like a nice person who seems to be nice and very innocent, and like this movement towards, evil or becoming this like evil thing. But like, what are the extenuating circumstances that lead you into that? So it's not just the trauma he experiences, back to the theme of trauma, but like it's also the trauma he experiences at home with this mother. And so even when you have kindness around him, it can't, like, the idea of being different, right, comes into play, and like what makes someone different. I thought that was a nice little like touch. It also, I thought, for me, was nice foreshadowing as to what was about to come with him too. I was like, oh, he's definitely going to become something he's not, which again, that's Norman Bates, right? Becomes the mother is the killer, just like with Corey, like he becomes Michael Myers. Like he literally becomes the figure. What do they call him? The figure? So it's
The shape.
The shape.
Yeah.
He literally becomes the shape. And again, the idea of the shape is not necessarily Michael Myers. It's something bigger, right? It's Haddonfield, but.
And I will say this. I was relieved that they did not actually make Corey the next bad guy. I have a really hard time when I watch movies. I tend to sort of just like shut my brain off, and I try not to predict what's going to happen. I try not to see too much in the future. I just try to stay in the moment. But for me, I was like, they're building up to have Corey be the next shape for like following movies. Like, this is gonna how they're gonna kill Michael Myers and keep it going anyway. And especially there was one moment where Corey was like on the ground and then he just sat up the exact same way Michael Myers does. And I was like, oh no. Yeah. And then they didn't. And I was really relieved that they killed him.
Yes.
And that felt like it would have been a really easy way out. And yet they didn't take it. And I will give them props for that. I liked that Corey was a bad guy, but he didn't become the next bad guy.
It is literally Halloween Ends.
Yes. I was waiting for them to finagle their way out of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they didn't.
And I appreciated that too, that they didn't go that route. That's what I respect about this finale is like there's no really debating. Like, this is it.
This is it.
Version,
put it to bed.
Story.
Put the Laurie Strode Michael Myers thing to bed.
Yeah, and I did really respect that because many movies would not. They would leave some sort of opening. And look, anything's possible. In 2 years, they could bring Michael Myers back again.
And I'm actually okay if they bring Michael Myers back, but but make it clean. Like at this point, like do something that is clean and like different. Because like you've done the Laurie Strode thing 3 times now.
Yeah.
3 times. And even the one that's not Laurie Strode is still Laurie Strode adjacent. And I get it. Because Jamie Lee Curtis is the best final girl that there is. I mean, like, you can't like her
it's hard to top her. But I will say this. I hope that Rowan Campbell, who played Corey, has a long career because he is a great actor.
So good.
He's fantastic. He has this Michael Rooker from Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer look. There were points where I was like, Bethany, he looks exactly like Michael Rooker from Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. I was like, maybe that was why they cast him too. He has that look. He had that good.
Right.
I just hope this doesn't. No, it's okay. I hope this doesn't hurt his career because I would love to work with him. He seems like a really, he really cares. You could tell he really cared about this character.
Let's touch on that.
Yeah.
With this character, I think it was either John Carpenter or the director, who told Rowan off the bat. He said, "You are going to be universally hated after this movie." Like this was like the day he got cast and before they started filming.
Yep.
Before he'd even read the script, they're like, you are going to be very hated by a portion of the fans of this franchise.
Good
just
for
so
them
you
for
know.
knowing that, to being like, you know what, like this is what we're doing. Like, just strap in, buddy.
And he strapped in.
Yeah,
he gave a hell of a performance.
Yeah,
he's fantastic.
Really,
I thought he was fantastic. Yeah.
Again, Gordon Green can get great performances from his actors. I don't know his style, but he did it with this one.
So such a good performance. And I think that he actually, for me, was the North Star of this whole thing, was the saving grace.
I will say though, but Jamie Lee too.
Yeah. Oh, obviously.
My favorite performance out of the whole thing.
So good.
Out of the whole trilogy, this was my favorite version of her.
What about Hills has good performances? Like the actors act the shit out of that movie.
Yeah,
it's
for
just
sure.
A train wreck.
What about while we're on performances and characters, Allison? For me, they kind of just gave up on her character.
Yeah,
in my opinion, and she was just kind of like a means to an end to get Corey to where he needed to be, and it sucks because I really think they could have done a lot with her as like kind of the next Laurie Strode, and they they made her as cardboard cutout as you could in this third one.
She's a
And I
set piece-
get it.
set piece in
They
this
were
film.
focusing on Corey. They were focusing on wrapping up the story of Laurie Strode. And you can tell, like, those two are the meat of this entire
But that's bad
finale. But
storytelling, though, because you're you take this pinnacle character from this. It's what's the character, John Boyega's character in the Star Wars movies? Like,
Oh, they fucked that up. Jesus.
Yeah, right. But same thing.
him.
So you introduce this like person that's supposed to be a pinnacle character, and in the first two movies, then you're just like,
Oh, he's comic relief. What the
I
fuck?
mean, part of me wonders if it's like Allison's character didn't test well, you know, like because it really did feel like they were setting her up to be the final girl.
then fucking kill her. It's a
and
horror
then-
movie.
yeah.
Kill her.
Right, but I wonder if like after Halloween Kills, just audiences weren't liking her or she wasn't moving the needle in some way, and so they decided to try something else. It screams to me of reshoots and committees, and you know, it just because it's so inconsistent, and because this franchise coming back in 2018 and was such a huge deal that there's no way they were going to not test the hell out of it and get as many fingers in it as possible. And so I really have a feeling that her character was supposed to be more than she ended up being.
And it's a shame because Andy Matichak is wonderful. She's
Yeah,
great.
great.
I think that if you
great.
give her good material, she will fucking crush it. And I think that she got done dirty in this movie. Like the weird romance, how fast it happened. I mean, that was my biggest thing. I was like, what the hell? Like, she just suddenly falls in love with this guy, walks in, and like, why? Like, was there something that I missed? Does he have supernatural powers to like make a woman just fall in love with him?
Dennis, he's just a cutie.
Yeah, she's
cutie.
Bethany.
He's
I guess.
wounded, guys.
Wounded. He's a
wounded.
Oh,
man.
even the way they cut that scene together.
I know.
I was like, what is this? I was like, what kind of CW garbage is this? Like,
felt-
what happened?
There felt like there were some key moments that were edited out to the point where there was one scene after he dances and then falls on the dance floor at that party, and then he runs out because he sees the mom and he
that
runs
was
out.
so uneven.
There's this scene
Yeah.
outside where they're looking at each other and talking, and then all of a sudden her hands are out
Yeah, I
in
was
like
what?
in a way that looks really meaningful, and he like
Yeah.
walks away from her hands, and it felt like there was something she had said about like take my hands, and they edited it out.
Yeah.
There were several moments in the movie where I felt like I had missed something really important that got chopped.
Yeah, and her escalation of like hating Laurie, it was really weird. I get that like maybe she was being possessed by evil, you know, but I feel like wasted opportunity to work with an amazing actress, you know.
Yeah.
But that whole love story was so weird, man. Gordon Green said, Gordon Green, I'm sorry, Ryan. I just want to say one
please.
quick thing. Gordon Green did say he wanted to make his 50s motorcycle falling in love movie.
Oh, it's my favorite shot of the movie. It's my favorite shot of the movie. The movie with them on the motorcycle.
When Michael Myers is holding him on the motorcycle.
Yeah. I don't know why. That moment, I was like, that, because you talk about the grainy texture and like, unrelated to horror, I just love that shot. I was like, that is a cool.
He
cool
wanted to
shot.
make. Yep, he wanted to make an American love story that felt like the 50s. And look, that's your vision, man. As a director, I'm like, I get it. When you get obsessed with a vision, like you have to see it through.
Yeah.
But again, it sort of fell flat. You know, it just sort of fell flat. It felt like
he tried many things.
He tried a
and
lot.
I give him credit.
It
was just
Big
too
swing.
late in the trilogy, and
It's too late. Yeah.
But again, like, if you can't take those risks, like, what the hell's the point? Yeah, I think this was a good example of this guy tried everything he could to get his version and vision out there. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to executive decisions.
Yep.
It's going to come down to test screenings and ultimately what's going to appeal to the broader audience. And I do want to bring up later. God, we're almost on an hour and 30 minutes, guys. I promise we won't go that much longer. We'll fast
It's
forward.
Saturday,
But,
man. I'm full of caffeine.
Saturday.
But what I was gonna say is, I don't know what I was gonna say. I just lost my.
Well,
complete-
I will say this.
As a person.
sensual.
I've less
Hold
sensual.
on.
I will.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ryan. Sorry.
Oh no. That he really tried. He tried.
He did.
to
Oh, yeah.
He did. I
Um,
respect any filmmaker. Period. When you have a vision, and this was a big swing, and and again, I like David Gordon Green. I really like Joe. I hope that this does get reevaluated later on, like Halloween 3: Season of the Witch did. And I think people will see that this was the better one of all of them.
For sure.
And
It was a
new
better
one.
film. If you're looking at
like 20
film,
years.
Yeah.
it was a better film. You know, it was tonally a mess at some points. However, here's what I think. The greatest troll of all time would have been, you give people the trailer, right? With tonight's the final night, right? You open up the movie with that. It's someone watching it on a TV, and that was a trailer to it within the story, and you remake Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. That would have been the greatest fucking troll of all time. You want to do it? You do it right, David Gordon Green. You remake our movie. You remake my movie. I would have loved that though. How great would it have been? People going, what the fuck is this?
We were talking about that idea, and it was like, heaven forbid, let's say you are like very ill. You know you have like a year. Like, you know you have about a year.
David Gordon Green gets his terminal.
Just make that movie.
Do it.
So what are you gonna do?
Man, I would have loved it.
Such a good point.
I think it's interesting about horror, like these types of genre films. I would love like your guys' perspectives on it, as well as like I'm reading the chat and like other stuff, you know, because again, this movie's super polarizing. And the reason why I liked it one of the reasons I liked it so much, and I think you're right, I think in like 20 years people will go back and be like, no man, that was a good one, is because it's so different, right? It's so different than what I expected it was going to be, than what I mean, it still has the thing, like people still die, but it was different. It was just a total different movie, which like the Halloween 3, the original one. But what I think is hard with doing a horror movie, and I get this a lot from following, I said earlier, like Ryan, I used to work with an actor who's in Terrifier 2, who plays Art the Clown. So I follow it really closely just to be like, this is awesome, way to go. Which is, I'm very happy for him.
Nicest guy ever, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Like,
He seems like such a
clearly
sweet dude.
a
Yeah.
testament to his performance.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful work and like movement, actor movement, blah, blah, blah. I could talk that all day. But so when you watch a horror movie, it's so hard, I think, to fulfill fans of these type of movies. Because like you've got people who just want it to be like spectacle in terms of the kills. Yeah. Right. Like that's you're like, I have to fulfill that fan. And so to do that, right, you have to like go over the top, and it has to be a little cheesy. Like there's those fans. You're the fans who like want like a good movie, who are like, I want to watch a horror movie that's like a good film that has good acting, good character development, like good storytelling, good themes. You have those fans. And then you have fans who like might come into it totally like just to watch a movie, right? I'm just going to come into this blind and see what it is. It's how my wife watched the first Halloween movie and liked it, because she came in just being like, well, I've heard good things. I don't like horror movies, but let's watch it. And she liked it. And so I think that's what I like about this film is he basically went, okay, I'm going to do something completely different because I can't win. I am in a, like he did Halloween Kills, which is different in a lot of ways. I couldn't win. 2018, I tried to do kind of an homage film, couldn't win there. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do what the studio told me I have to do. I'm making my own movie because I can't win anyway, which is why, like, when I read these reviews, people are like, it wasn't brutal enough. I'm like, you're not going to get a.
Neither was the first one.
A film that's that brutal. It's just not
People are forgetting the subtlety of the first one. Oh, everyone's remembering slasher films, like you said, Nick, and that Nick, great point. You're never going to be able to win.
Nope.
We're working on this first feature, and I'm like, people are going to love it or people are going to hate it. It builds up to something, and if people like that payoff, great. But there are going to be people that say it's not enough, it's not brutal enough. Fine. I'm not a slasher film director. I'm more of an atmosphere guy. Yeah. I like stuff to build, and but there's a place for Terrifier 2, and there's a place for Hereditary in this world, especially in this genre. We should have both. Should have both. And if you get a film that does both and balances out both, great. But you're never going to please everybody. So I think you're right. I think Gordon Green was just like, I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want with this last one. And I listened to the Film Threat podcast. It's great. I suggest everyone goes and listens to it. It's wonderful. And they were saying that there was a rumor that, he had a last minute change of mind and was like, we're rewriting everything for this last one. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that it makes sense, it makes sense. And yeah, I think that's like, at some point you just have to accept your fate as to what you committed to. And yeah,
I would also really hope to see a director's cut at some point.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Because I wonder what he was forced to take out, either for time or for studio notes.
The 3-hour cut.
I would be really interested
in.
Yes.
I wonder if Michael Myers wasn't even in this movie.
Right? I would love to see the Snyder cut of this movie.
Yes. What if, again, the ultimate trolling, what if Michael Myers wasn't in this at all?
Yeah.
I think it would have worked
was
better.
just the story of Corey.
Michael Myers would have been a better movie.
Ryan.
I
think you hit it. I think Michael Myers was reshot in. Honestly, because if you think about it, he really did want to pay homage to every single one that he was, the original trilogy, and it would make sense that he would completely remove Michael Myers from the last one, because that's what they did in Halloween 3: Season of the Witch.
Yeah,
that's a good theory,
I think
man.
You're right, man.
That's a good. That's you. That's not me. That was you.
Well, I wonder if that. What if that's the thing? Like that Corey just becomes that's the arc, right? The Corey becomes the shape, and then it's not about Michael Myers at fucking all. It's about, again, and that tracks with the theme of Haddonfield, right? If your theme of this is trauma and Haddonfield, the town is the thing that is evil.
Yeah.
And then the trauma that this family experiences, which tracks Laurie's journey to who she is now, tracks the daughter's journey, tracks Corey's journey, trauma's effect on Corey and his relationships. And so you have him just become the shape, and there is no Michael Myers. Michael Myers, he leaves, he is gone. He kills that daughter and he's gone. And so, yeah, I bet you're right. I bet all of a sudden the studio was like,
no, Michael Myers, you gotta your mind. Go reshoot everything.
So what does he do? He says, okay, I'll put Michael Myers in, and then boom, kills him. There's no chance that he's coming back. Fuck you, executives.
Yeah.
Good luck making another Michael Myers movie.
Because the shot of him, if you've not seen this movie, I'm about to spoil it. The very end, there's no clearer way to say this man is physically dead, because they've tried chopping his head off. He came back. They just smoosh him in a car grinder. Is that what that machine is called?
And then okay, so Beth and I had the biggest problem with that ending. So it says she's doing the voiceover, and in an unceremonious way, and the whole town's following her. So I said,
how'd they know?
I said, wait a minute, did they get a fucking citizen app? Evil dies tonight, like a notification to join Laurie Strode? I was like, what is this?
And also, did anyone else think Laurie was going in after him into the grinder? I was like, is
someone gonna push her in? It's like Corey gonna like jump up and push her,
or is she like gonna jump in after him to ensure? I was like, we're losing two tonight.
I bet, Bethany, they shot that too.
I bet they shot it too.
Like
she literally hops in with him.
Yeah,
because it would make sense,
because that's love.
They're so dependent
sensuality.
Because the sensuality they're in love. Love
Nick
that.
Nick on sensuality.
I have to say this too.
Ryan, Tyler's podcast, Halloween sensuality.
Ryan, you highlighted Randall's comment, which was great, which was there are so many shitty sequels in this franchise that it was kind of refreshing to see something different.
Totally.
I agree.
That's a good point.
If you put this up against everything else, that's why I say I really think it deserves a re-examination. I also root for the underdog. If people hate something, I'm usually like, I like it.
Then how do you not like Halloween Kills? That's the ultimate underdog in this entire
Oh no, fuck that movie.
That's a bad movie.
That's a bad movie. Fuck that movie. There's no sensuality for me there.
Vincent D'Onofrio isn't in it.
Yeah. And the reason why I root for the underdog and Terrifier, not to bring it too off course, but Terrifier is a great example of that. Terrifier 1, rotten. Everyone hated it. Well, critics hated it.
Oh, yeah.
Critics hated it. I think what he did was great. It was a callback to we have another iconic slasher hero, and I'm not a slasher guy, but Damien, great guy, Staten Island guy, love him to death. I don't know him, but I just love hearing his voice because I'm like, those are my friends. because I'm from Staten Island. So anyway, he took the critiques and he made something better with Terrifier 2. Now it's like 90% fresh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, so you, from an underdog comes good things. You know what I mean? And like, that's why I always root for the underdog. I always say like, and I feel like this movie is just like Halloween 3 in the sense that it Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. It is the underdog. And I think it deserves to be re-examined when people have calmed down a little bit. This literally was the movie. They did to this movie what they did to Michael Myers and Halloween Kills. The entire town that wanted Michael Myers went and burned this movie to the ground. And I don't think it deserves that. I really don't.
No,
Yeah, I really think it's the underdog, and it will rise up at some point, and people will go, "Yeah, it was that bad of a movie."
Listen, it has issues as a film. Like we've talked
definitely.
about, like it has issues. But again, I challenge anyone in this conversation, especially slasher film. I'm going back to a very specific horror movie genre. Find me a slasher film besides maybe the first Halloween movie, and maybe the first Halloween or the first Friday the 13th, the first Nightmare on Elm Street, like the big ones, right? Like the holy grail of this genre. That does not have problems. Like
totally, dude.
Yeah,
And
it's part of the genre. It's part of what you're signing up to watch and be a part of. Like you're gonna sacrifice somewhere. So like, it's weird. People don't want remakes, right? We don't want remakes. We want originality. But then you do that, and you're like, same thing with Return of the Jedi, right? You don't want I don't want original. I don't want remakes. I want original. So a director's like,
okay, here's an original. I hate it.
And then everyone hates it. Exactly. Now, to put an asterisk on that, Nick, I urge everyone who's like, there wasn't enough Michael Myers, there wasn't enough killing or whatever, go back and watch the first one. It is all atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the fear of what might happen. And then there's some big kills in it, but they're not huge. They're not super big. There's like, there's not that much as people remember. It was a slow burn. It was one of the slowest burns. Now, funny thing is, Friday the 13th, the people who produced that were like, we need our Halloween, but with a bunch of kills and horny teens. There's more kills in Friday the 13th, the first one, than there is in Halloween.
But it's so great because there's mystery, because you still don't know.
Exactly.
That movie's so great. And Nightmare on Elm Street introduces the idea of like, what if your killer is a character and not just a force? Yeah. But you're right. That's why Halloween, the very first Halloween, is so fucking good.
Oh, it's so good.
Because like,
so good.
I remember watching. I watch it now, and it's still. And I know the beats, right? I know, and it's because you were sitting there the whole time, just going.
It's so slow. That movie is so slow.
And it plays on fear, right? This innate fear that we have as people, right? That you are being watched or followed or hunted. Like Jamie Lee Curtis is being fucking hunted in that movie. And it draws on this primal like moment. And that's something that the 2018 movie does really well in the bathroom stall part of it. Like the very first
That's a good scene. That's a good scene. Yeah.
But so Halloween, the original Halloween is that scene, but for an hour, and then like 30 minutes of the actual like the cheetah chasing the gazelle. Yeah, right.
And you couldn't do what Halloween 1978 did because people don't have the attention span for that anymore.
Exactly.
They don't have the patience. Like I enjoy movies that want you to be patient, but that doesn't put asses in seats. You know what I mean? So you have to kind of find the balance, you know?
Which I think is what he tried to do with this, right?
I think so, yeah.
I think the break was too hard. Like it started off in a thing and like break, like you said, break too hard, and then you had to do all this character development too quickly, which again, had this been the second movie, had I gotten my Force Awakens movie in 2018, because I want that. I want the chicken noodle soup. I want that chicken noodle soup. I want that little like I know what I'm getting. This feels right. I'm into this. And then the second movie, you're like, and now for something.
Sorry. Nick wants his Force Awakens.
We need a song for Nick on Sensuality.
Welcome to Nick on Sensuality. Right. And then done this and be like, okay, I got that. And now for something completely different, this is what this trilogy is going to be. I would have been like in it to win it. Because I got my little shimmy, got my little like what I needed. And then I get
your Michael Myers shimmy when he powers up after that murder.
Michael Myers. Like when I saw the first one, like I want me a little Michael Myers. I want me a little Jamie Lee Curtis. I want that old dude walking around with that creepy ass mask again. I need that.
Yeah.
And then give me something totally new.
Speaking of which, we should mention Nick Castle was in this movie.
Yes,
Yes!
he
Did anyone see that cameo?
was.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
He got his
I
line.
was
I
not
mean,
expecting that.
that was like homage on homage. He got his see something you like,
Yeah.
and he got
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's okay, so we've run through the plot, the characters, homages. Are there
Yeah.
any we're missing that you guys picked up or Easter eggs that we haven't talked about? We'll start to wrap things up here because I got a few final questions for you guys.
sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of Easter eggs or anything people should look out for,
I think the greatest homage is the movie itself, taking Michael Myers out of the film and really making it like the feeling that people had when you watched Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. For those who wanted more Michael Myers, they didn't get that. I think that was his actually, I think that was his greatest homage, was making it almost to the T, like that feeling of he knew he was going to do his Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, and he fucking did it. And man, what a swing.
Dennis,
That's my personal take.
Question for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
But how was that movie received when it came out? Like, what was the
Halloween 3?
Like, yeah.
terrible.
Go watch my
Terrible.
documentary on it.
Okay, I will.
YouTube.com/DCallo. No,
Hate
no, it was panned, hated.
The franchise was dead. Yeah,
Franchise, the franchise, they were like, and this was John Carpenter and Deborah Hill saying, we are going to do something different. We're going to take this in an anthology direction. That would have been awesome.
Mhm.
Imagine every
Amazing.
Halloween we got a different Halloween
Oh,
movie.
I would love that.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Halloween 2 ruined that.
Yeah,
they had
it
their
wasn't
up in
supposed
Halloween
to.
2.
Yeah.
Well, it was
It
really
wouldn't make
Halloween.
sense.
Halloween 3 was the thing that ruined it because they said Michael Myers burned in that hospital. We want to do something new. And this was people coming up with something actually original,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, long story short, it tanked.
Yeah.
You know? And then years later, now it's loved. Now it's
in the
universally
years
loved.
of Netflix, like its streaming existed, and this would have been like a streaming horror movie series where like the first movie is the original
Yes.
Halloween.
Mhm.
Even if you would have done the second one, like people would have eaten that shit up and been like, "Oh no, man,
Dude.
season 3's here, and it's something completely different."
My personal story with Halloween 3 Season of the Witch was I didn't grow up like I grew up in a time where whatever was on TV is what you watched, right?
Yeah,
I'm older. So
I think we're the same age, friendo.
We're all around the
I
same
think we're all
age,
around the
please,
same
don't
age.
worry.
Yeah.
So I saw Halloween 3 Season of the Witch first out of all the Halloween movies. I never knew that Michael
Oh,
Myers
okay.
existed.
You
So
didn't even know Michael Myers was a thing.
right. So I was like, then
Oh.
my friends were like, wait, you've never seen the first Halloween? I'm like, yeah, no, I've never. So they put it in. And I'm like, who's this guy? What does this have to do with the masks? What's going on? Like, where's the continuation? And then they explained to me, no, that movie screwed everything up. And I was like, but I liked it.
You're like,
You
"No,
know?
that movie made everything right."
Oh, it was so good. I wish they had gone on with that
Yeah.
anthology. I'm sorry. So I've diverted
No.
too much.
No, it's okay.
No,
No,
no.
I
Well,
diverted. I did. I
one of
I
the,
didn't agree on that track.
One of the Easter eggs I loved too was so in the original 1978 version, they showed the movie they were watching was The Thing from outer
Yeah.
space.
Yes.
The
In this
original.
one, it was John Carpenter's
Yes.
The Thing. So that
Yes.
was a great.
That was
call
awesome.
out
That was
there.
That was
wonderful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's Bethany's favorite
I
horror
love
movie.
The Thing. It's
I
a
just
perfect
watched
horror
it for
film.
the first time like 2
Now-
weeks ago.
Oh,
Correct me if I'm wrong. That one was also universally panned, and that
Flop.
that
Did
one
not like it.
basically
Flop.
almost ended John Carpenter's career.
Yep.
Yep.
And now it's beloved.
I can't wait to do the deep dive on that. I have so much to say, and I've learned so much about his journey and his process of making that film. It's such a hero's journey, that movie. It's wonderful. And I like covering movies like that were originally like seen as like, these are terror. Like what did you do? But then you start to put it into context of the time and the other films that were out. Look, Blade Runner came out the same day. They were both panned by critics. And now
That's crazy to me.
I know.
Wow.
And now
It
they're
is. I think-
considered classics.
And
you
I
know?
think that's what time does. And I think you guys are right. This movie, I think in 10 years, we'll look back because who knows where film will be in 10 years or what will be kind of the mainstream perception of what a good film is. I think this film will become one of those ones that people
Yep.
will look back on and be like,
Yep.
Yeah.
I want something with substance. I'm going to go watch that Halloween Ends because I remember I didn't
Yep.
like it,
Well,
but then I did, but then I didn't, but then I did.
I
Yeah.
Which is
personally,
where I'm
I think the trilogy will be looked back on. I think you will have people with this movie, just like the one we have. So we have like Halloween 1 and 2, right? And then you go to H2O, which I think is that trilogy. And you have people who watch that who are like, no, I love the first 2 Halloween movies. And Halloween H2 is okay. But like I'm cool with that. So right, you have people I know that are like hardcore, I don't know how, hardcore to 4, 5, 6. Like even 6. They're like, no, I love 4, 5, 6. I think you'll have people with this trilogy be like, no. And then you have Dennis who's like, Halloween 3, motherfuckers. That's the one.
Well, and I think I'm gonna withhold. I did not like it. I'm gonna withhold judgment until I see the actual full. I just want a director's cut. I want to know what the intention was.
Yes.
Like if this was the true vision of what the movie was supposed to be, or if there was so much interference being done that it became something that, you know, that the Green didn't anticipate or didn't intend or didn't want. I think I just feel like it's so erratic that even in the absence of like all of the other movies, or even with some time passing, I feel like the erratic nature of that relationship between Alice and Corey that got just like so blown up so quickly, I feel like that still is going to feel too fast. And I really want to know what the original vision for that was. Because it's just, I want to like this movie because Jamie Lee Curtis is such an icon, and I love this character, and I love that she has been afforded the opportunity to originate a character and see her out. Like that is such a long I know, right? So many times. That is such a gift, I think, to a performer to really be given the opportunity to develop a character over 40 years. Like what an amazing opportunity. So I really want to love it. And I just need, I hope that we get a chance to see like the full vision of it, you know, in a director's cut. I think
the Jamie Lee Curtis cut.
Yes.
She signs off on too. Like, cause I feel like when you're getting her to come back, cause she doesn't have to do these movies. Like, just,
well, at a point she did. Like, she was contractually obligated back in the day. I think even H2O was a situation where she had to do it.
Sure. And these
I could be wrong on that, but for these ones, I don't think so.
I wonder if she was contractually obligated for this trilogy, like, because it would be difficult to sign on for. I mean, I have no idea. I'm guessing because it would be really difficult to have a trilogy with this full slate of like, we're going to end it with Halloween Ends and not have her in it. So I wonder if it was like, well, if the first one does well and we do end up doing, you have to then contractually come back.
But then she has to
I don't know
that, though, to be like, I know I'm coming back to do this character for at least this one. Like, I like what your plans are for 2018. Yeah. I'm coming back into this.
Yeah.
It made a shit ton of money, and she was like, "God damn it!"
Yeah. I will say this. She, as a human being, is one of the most wonderful people. She stood by David Gordon Green so much throughout all this, never turned on him. You see a lot of people turning on directors. You see a lot of people saying, well, you know, when the bad reviews come in.
Yeah.
She has stuck by him and said, this man has a vision. I believe in it, and I'm going to stick with it to the very end. That's so classy. And like, God bless that woman, you know, for all that she's done.
I mean,
you know,
and she's literally, isn't she a duchess?
And all of us are saying, David Gordon Green's a hack. I mean, so many people were like, Gordon Green's a hack or whatever. She's like, I will stand by this man. And I fully respect that. And whatever their relationship was, like as a director, that's a dream. You want people to stand by you, even if it's failing.
Well, and I would push back. He's not a hack. He can't be, because this is
he's not. No.
He's whether you like Halloween Kills or not, like his other films, like the filmmaking, like the actual like cinematography filmmaking is
it's very
beautiful
good.
In all of them. Whether you like the style, like I like watching, they're enjoyable to watch, but the acting. So my thing is, means that dude, whatever he's doing, right? Every person he casts in these movies gives a good, even if it's over the top and goofy. I'm like, no, it's committed, it's specific, and like, trust me, that's an actor's job, and I get that. But that also means, because film is an editing medium too, that means that like those actors were in it to win it for him, and they did their shit, because there's no like phoned in shitty performance, even from the kids, and kid actors are hard.
Kid actors,
to me, I'm like, you're a
tough.
good filmmaker. You know what you're doing.
Any issues I have with any of these last 3 movies are in the writing. I think that the script is tough, and I think that the story is rushed. I think that the acting is on point. I
Mhm.
think that there are moments that are cringy for me with some of the child actors' dialogues in the earlier films, and like
Yeah.
some of the teen dialogue is pretty tough.
Yeah.
But again, the kids are selling it. It's the writing that I think is again by committee or too just a little bit wrong
Yeah,
tone.
I mean, like, you know, everyone's like, "Fuck, he's doing The Exorcist." I don't think The Exorcist needs to be rebooted at all. But
Was he doing The Exorcist?
That's his next project.
Really?
So I'm
He's
hoping
taking on
that
The
they have a
Exorcist, yeah.
good right. I mean, like, look, writing right now. I personally think, this is my personal opinion, I think writing is in the toilet right now with most films, both bigger films that are coming out. The writing is just abysmal. You know, so I'm hoping that we're going to see a turn somewhere with where there's actually well-written dialogue, because we really are lacking that, especially in the horror. You know, this is why people gravitate towards A24, because they're written well.
Oh,
You know, the
man.
characters
Yeah,
are
they
written
are.
well. It's good writing, you know. And then, well, look, then you have a Terrifier 2, which is like pure fun. And but they nail, like, that's nailed
They
because
know
it's
what they're
specific.
doing.
They know what they're doing.
they're
It's
doing.
specific. Exactly. So right to what the thing is, right?
Mhm.
You know, like, right. So look, I'm not going to go
Well-
see the new Exorcist, but I don't know. Ryan
Dennis-
may change my mind on that one too.
Yeah, no.
I
I
always come back.
You
Like
bring up-
anytime you're doing this, like you gotta be specific, right? Again,
Yeah.
sorry, this is the teacher in me because I teach theater.
Mhm.
Like, what are you doing, right?
What are you
What do you
doing?
wanna do?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, I have students who are really good writers and they're really good at dialogue, but there's no story there. And you're like, okay,
Mhm.
great. I love that you, as an actor, like, I'll take that and I will have a fucking ball. But your
Mhm.
storytelling, people are gonna be like, what's the story? It
Yeah.
sounds great. Everything's gotta be specific, and that's like, I said,
Yeah.
like Terrifier 2, shit, like.
Yeah.
Oh, you want it to be, you want more. Okay,
Yeah.
then this is the movie I'm making, like, on it.
Yeah. So we are currently working with a writer for, I'm going to say the name of the movie is called Hide. We're very excited about, we're really excited about it. It's, we are finding a balance between building the character in the first half hour and scary stuff, you know, but for the first half hour, you're with this character and you're learning about her and you're growing with her.
Genius.
And like, that was what we loved. We've been watching a lot of movies that we love. And I said, do you know why I love Alien? I love Alien. I love the first one. And the second one's okay. It's more of an action movie. But the first one I loved. Why? I loved every single character. And there was
And
a
you
lot
had
of
time
them.
with them.
I loved them so much. And when they died, I got sad. And when Ripley survived, I was cheering because I fucking love them. And in that movie, in the director's cut, I don't think you could even get away with this. You spend an hour with them before you even get to this planet. That is character development. Now, can you do that now? No. So we have to condense it to a half hour, and that's even a lot of time to spend with a character.
See,
You know?
I think
but-
you can do it though. I think it just has to be done. You have to know, but
You gotta know.
You have to
You gotta
know
keep
what
it. You gotta keep it moving. You gotta keep it moving. You know.
But you can do that in character build. Again, Halloween 1, right? Like, it's a slow burn, but there's always something happening, even though you're spending a lot of time with, like, there's a lot happening in the space, right? In the void, there are things happening. So while it's slow and it's a slow burn, Alien's the same way. There's still stuff happening. It's just happening peripherally.
Yep.
And that's good storytelling, right? Where you're
Yep.
like, I just watched Possessor, which I liked a lot. And it's slow, but there's so much happening, like, around it that I'm like, no, it works because I know it's building. So like, I'm in it and I like the person.
And I will say this: when that half hour is up, my God, does that clock start ticking in this movie? It's like, oh shit! Like suddenly you're in third gear, and it's like, oh no! But it builds to that moment. So
is it sensual though?
And
Nick, that's why we need your help.
Oh,
ready? Nick on sensuality. Sorry, bit of a tangent, but
No.
I also think that one of the greatest homages that they missed out on was to actually take one of the songs from Halloween 3, like one of the chase songs, like Chariot of the Pumpkins, and modernize that and put that in the track. And so we all could have been like, just look at Chariot of the Pumpkins, oh my God. Yeah, exactly. Put the horns up, baby. Sorry. So
No. Let's we'll wrap things up, guys. It's dinner
longer
time here in the UK.
This stream is longer than the movie.
I know, right?
Oh,
That's saying a lot. Yeah.
we were talking to Sarah's like, are you guys gonna talk for 4 hours? And I was like,
Last time we did 4 hours. We also covered 4 movies. So
Holy
that says
shit.
a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
Hour
Maybe.
movie. No, we'll wrap things up here. But I guess to kind of do that, guys, would you recommend people go see Halloween Ends if they have not seen it yet? Nick, start with you.
yeah, I totally would. I think
Okay.
if you like the Halloween movies, like in general, even if you don't like slash, you'd be like, I like these movies, or you like Jamie Lee Curtis, or you like, yeah. I mean, listen, you know what you don't know what you're getting, but you do know what you're getting. Like, I go into it. If you go in and you just have fun, I think it's great. I think it's enjoyable. It's well acted. It's well shot. I think there's some really great moments in it. There's some great moments if you like slasher films. The cutting the tongue out one was brutal, and well done. And I think it's fun. It has problems, but there's a lot of movies that have problems that you still can really enjoy yourself. I think in general, this trilogy is, for me, at its low point is still low, but I still have fun through all of it because I like the character. If you like the character of Michael Myers, I think it's a good one to go see. I would watch it. I'd watch it again.
Okay. How about you guys? Bethany?
I would say no, until or unless a full director's cut comes out. I think that everything that I like about it, I like from the original Halloween. So I would say just watch the original Halloween.
Yeah.
I would say if the stuff that is new in this film is not complete enough for me to be satisfied with the newness of it. So I think I would want a longer arc from Corey. I would want a longer, more realistic, romantic arc between Corey and Allison. And I don't get that yet. And I think we will get that at some point. So I would say no with an asterisk.
Okay. Dennis?
I would say yes. But here's how I would suggest you watch it.
Watch Halloween 3.
Watch Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, and then you're done. No. So here's what I would do. If you're interested in the Michael Myers arc, I think this is a very interesting way to watch this. Watch the first movie, then watch Halloween Ends. Skip everything else. Watch those 2 movies back to back. I guarantee you're going to like Halloween Ends. Guarantee.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Skip everything else and just revisit it that way. And then watch Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, because that's the best one.
And then watch Halloween H2O because it's lovely
so
and there's some pretty wonderful psycho homages.
Do you guys like Halloween
that
H2O?
haircut.
Am I not alone? Am I not on an island?
I love that movie.
I gotta
H2O
go watch it. It's been a while.
I think it's better than the reboot.
Did we just become best friends?
Yes. Do you want to do karate in my garage? Yes.
Do you want to do karate in my garage?
Yeah, definitely. Halloween H2O is
It's awesome.
Yes.
Unfortunate title, and a very bad haircut permeates the movie.
But at one point you get, because Jamie Lee Curtis's mom, I can't remember her name, is in it. Janet Leigh is in it. And at one point says, "Can I give you some motherly advice?" Because she plays an older colleague, and then the psycho theme swells and then blends back into the regular background music. And Janet Leigh walks off to the type of Cadillac she was driving in Psycho or whatever kind of car it was, and just like this, like
that's fan service right there. That's
a
great.
friggin' movie. Yeah. It's so good.
I love that movie because I love it. Again, for me,
H2O is great.
Halloween 2 and then that movie, that's the one where I'm like, those are my 3. Yeah. Those are my 3 winner chicken dinner.
But she's still his sister in that movie.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that storyline.
And she's also traumatized. She's drinking too much. It's a very realistic alternate universe take on her. And it's a great, our cat just came into the frame. Halloween H2O all the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
We just can't listen.
Love
yes.
it.
Let's play drums in our garage.
Well, all right, guys. So, speaking of movies, we cannot go without talking about a little film coming out very soon. And this is, I'm going to play the trailer, Dennis.
Snap. Okay. Yes.
I know it's premiering soon. So let me go ahead and play that very quickly here. Hang tight, guys. Oh my god.
And
That
that
was awesome.
trailer is
That was, like,
half
the
the
greatest
length of
trailer
the
I've ever
movie.
watched.
Yeah, that's a 4-minute movie.
That is so good. That's
Thank you.
literally, I mean, chef's kiss.
Yep.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So tell us a little about when is this premiering? How can we see it? Yeah, tell us a little about Doors. You won't. I know you don't want to give away too much, but what are we willing to share?
You want to? I'll let you take
Sure.
this. Yeah.
So Doors is a short film that Dennis and I shot over quarantine. So in 2020, 2021.
Yeah, it was like when the 14th variant came out, and
Yeah.
everyone was like, "Please stay home again."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dennis shot it, cinematographized it.
It was just the two of
everything.
us. Yeah, the
Yep.
two of us decided to produce something while we were like locked up, and we were like, let's just do something short. It doesn't have to be like this big production. It'll just be the two of us, and then it became a big production with the two of us.
It's so it's this little film about a woman who is in her apartment and suddenly hears knocking coming from every door in her apartment.
She's terrorized by an unseen force.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it premieres Halloween.
Halloween at midnight. So October 31st, as soon as you wake up, it will be on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/dcallo. We're also going to be doing a Tilda and Uncle Van live stream, which are two characters that we perform as. And that is a live stream that will be on Halloween night from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. You can also watch it there live with us. I believe it's going to be part of the segment. One of the segments in there, hopefully.
I think.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. I mean, it had a nice little run on the film festival circuit. We got into some crazy festivals. We didn't get into any of the big ones, but we got into some
Awesome.
maniacal ones that we were like, this is great. We're in good company.
And
Short,
it's 4 minutes.
4 minutes. It's nothing. There's nothing gory. It's all psychological. You don't, but it's I think it's pretty scary. I think it's pretty terrifying.
Yeah. So I think it plays on the isolation a lot of us have been feeling for the last few years.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And then we have other films too. Lonely Hearts is available on my YouTube channel, and all my other films are available on Vimeo. And again, now we're working on another short while we're working on these two features that we're working on. I'm working on a couple of things with you, Ryan and Nick, and we're also working on our own thing called Hide, which we mentioned. But we are also working on something tentatively titled Demonatrix, and it is a short horror film that is fully dubbed. So it's meant to look like an old Italian movie that And so it's in that vein of like Mario Bava, gory
practical effects.
It's insane. And for those who will get it, you will get it. For those who don't, they're not going to know what the hell to do with it.
Welcome to this genre for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
this
one at Demonatrix is 100% for horror fans. Like it is going to be loved by horror fans, and probably for people who aren't into that the Italian gore stuff, they'll be like, "What the hell? Why is something wrong with the audio?" Like,
Love it.
So yeah.
Hey, as someone who Suspiria is one of my favorite movies, I can't wait. Cannot wait to see that, my man.
So good. Love Suspiria.
Love it. Nick, tell us what you're up to, my man. Where can we find everything you're up to?
First of all, just log rolling for you guys. Like, Doors is incredible. Like, Ryan's
thank
with
you
me,
so
and
much.
I like watched it on my
Thank you.
phone with headphones, and then I screen shared it to my big ass TV in my living room and watched it again. It is amazing. I just
thank you.
everything
so
about
much.
the performance, the cinematography, the sound design.
I sent it to Nick, and all I said is, "Look at this camera work," and he immediately texted me back, and he was like, "Whoa,
no, this is me, and this is me log rolling myself." I'm like, "Hi, Dennis. My name is Nick. Can we be friends? Do you need actors for anything you're doing? Can you please just call me, right?"
I gotta say, you mentioned Bethany's performance. I have to just say, Bethany's performance in that movie is completely dialogueless, completely wordless.
It's so good,
and you feel it's a testament to how great of an actress she is.
Thank you.
She is, and I'm not saying this because she chooses to put up with me every day. I'm saying this because genuinely, as a director, she makes my life easier. And that performance is wordless, and it's great. That's all I want.
It's great. I highly recommend. It's 4 minutes, but it's a great 4 minutes of just really solid filmmaking and storytelling, and just visually it is. And again, that's testament to both of you guys. I mean, it is
Thank
just
you.
you as a team creatively made something really cool, and I highly recommend watch it. It is visually pleasing. It is storytelling. The storytelling it's pleasing. It's a log rolling to you guys. Go check it out.
Thank you. Very kind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have no life and just talk about sensuality. So you can find you can find me. I'm on IG a lot. I do a lot of baking. That's very random.
He's
but,
amazing.
You can check out. I bake a lot. I'll come upstate with some baked goods for you guys.
Did you see that
Ryan,
art?
I tried to give you bread,
Did you see the art the clown cake that someone made?
Nope, but I'm going to
Sorry.
now.
It's great.
Googling.
So yeah, you can find me Instagram. I'm on socials. There's a little movie Ryan and I made, which I'm proud of. We did it.
It's
that
a
is
movie.
floating on Ryan's
We made a
YouTube
movie.
page. We made a movie. We did it. We made
It's
it.
called
We made
Reverie
it.
Lane. You
It's
can
called
find
Reverie
it
Lane.
on this YouTube channel, actually, where you're
Sweet.
watching this.
Yes, give it
Into
a
the
watch.
archive.
I mean, I'm no Bethany and Dennis, but what can you do?
Stop.
But I do theater around the city. So part of Voyage Theater Company. Please go give Voyage Theater Company a follow. Again, on the socials, they're a great, awesome theater company doing new work from playwrights or new playwrights and playwrights from other countries. So multicultural work. It's fantastic. Yeah. And, you know, if you like baked goods, follow me on Instagram. Lots of bread and cakes.
Amazing.
What about you, Ryan? Where can people
Ryan,
find
where
you,
can people
Ryan?
find you, Ryan,
Oh,
the
come
gracious
on.
host. Thank you so much for
Come
having us
on.
for 2.5 hours.
This was my pleasure, guys. Honestly, guys, you can find me right here on this YouTube channel or every Monday at somewhereintheskies.com.
Also beautiful.
New episode coming out in a couple days now. On Halloween.
I'm
actually.
so
I didn't even
guys.
realize that.
Wait. Let me just tell you my Monday sandwich. Every
What
Monday
kind of bread?
morning,
I need to know the bread
here's what I do.
first.
I work out first thing in the morning. So I start with Let's Not Meet. Then I do Somewhere in the Skies. And then I save the Saturday episode of Last Podcast on the Left for the middle. That's like, that's right there. And then I finish it off with Odd Trails. If you want to do a podcast sandwich, put those all together. You'll have the best morning of your life. That's my Monday mornings.
Yeah, you can also find me on
Thank
Ryan's podcast. I do voiceover stuff for him sometimes.
I've been
Yes.
hearing your
Sorry,
voice
absolutely.
on there.
Yep.
The nasal Midwest quality of this.
Stop.
Midwest.
There's
Love a
always place for
Midwest.
it. Always a place for it. Well, yeah, guys. So that's where you can find me. Bethany, we did not get your handles or anything. Let us know where we can find your individual work.
Yeah, I do most of my stuff on Instagram, Ms. Bethany Watson. I am also on Twitter, Radio Bethany, but all of my stuff is on my website. Just go to bethanywatson.com and click around.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Guys,
That was so
this was so
concise.
much fun. This was
So
so
good.
much fun
Thank
doing
you
this.
for
We'll have
having
to
us.
do
Yeah,
it
thank you for having
again.
us.
What an honor, man. What an honor.
Nick knows once you're on Somewhere in the Skies, you're on for life. So
Yeah.
we will
Like a
definitely
dude.
be doing this more.
Yeah.
But no, I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for going through my crazy schedule and rescheduling this a million times. But we made it
Don't
happen.
worry about it.
Yeah,
And I
Yes.
hope
I'm
everyone
so glad.
enjoyed it.
I'm so glad we made it happen. And Ryan, thank you for everything that you
Yeah.
do. I know what you do is a labor of love, especially in the UFO field. But we're so grateful that you do what you do.
Yeah, we are big fans in
Big
this household.
fans. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm big
I've
fans
been a
of
fan for years,
this.
Ryan.
Sensuality.
That's my podcast. Nick.
We've breeded a new podcast.
Hell yeah.
I love it. Awesome, guys.
All right.
I'm gonna let the three of you go and wrap up with the audience here
Okay.
and talk shit about you guys. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
No, it's fine.
this was an absolute pleasure. I will talk to the three of you soon. Okay.
We love you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Ryan. Good
Happy
night, guys.
Halloween. Happy
Happy
Halloween.
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 Bye. Oh my gosh, guys. A special thank you to Dennis, Bethany, and Nick for taking the time out of their morning to do this. To all of you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed Halloween Ends. Let me know what you think in the comments below about the movie. If you haven't seen it yet, clearly, I hope we covered it enough for you tonight. But this is a lot of fun. I love doing stuff like this during the Halloween season. Move away from UFOs a little bit, try a little something different. So I hope you did enjoy that. And I hope you will enjoy our new episode of Somewhere in the Skies premiering this Monday. The YouTube version is already up. It should be one video behind this one. And I got to talk to documentary filmmaker James Fox about his new film, moment of contact about this crazy UFO crash that happened in Brazil in 1996. So I'm going to go ahead and tease it a little bit for you. Here's a clip from that episode.
There's testimony coming out now that we're the ones that shot at the UFO that crashed. That gash it had in the side, I'm not stating this because I don't know, but some Brazilian UFO researchers who've been digging into this case since 1996 are claiming that the Americans shot at it.
Oh, interesting. That's
So
why
hopefully
we
we'll
were
get more
involved.
information on that. But these are people that would have access to high-level Brazilian military. I can confirm that are stating that it was known that the Americans are the one that shot at it because it had a huge, according to the eyewitnesses, it had a huge gash in the back of it. It was in trouble and it had white, weird vapor coming out the back of it, not like a smoke from a fire, white.
Mm-hmm. There you go, guys. A little teaser of our episode with James Fox. I hope you will either watch right here on YouTube or be sure to check it out on the podcast this Monday. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, click like, share it with anyone you think might like it, and same with the podcast. Give it a subscribe, a follow wherever you get your podcasts, and always looking for people to tell their UFO stories on Somewhere in the Skies. So you can reach out to me right here on YouTube or at the website. Use the contact tab, somewhereintheskies.com. But other than that, guys, I hope you have a very happy Halloween if and when you celebrate. I hope this was a good way to kind of ring in the spooky season with y'all. And yeah, that's all I got for you. So signing off from Somewhere in the Skies. Keep your feet on the ground, but never stop searching somewhere in the skies. And check out Halloween Ends.